live at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because Hurricane Nicole is trying to cause problems right now across the area.
Yeah, and we are still here with you, and we will be with you till the very end here. And Hurricane Ian, of course, moved through a few weeks ago. Now we're looking at yet another named storm.
It's a 1-2 punch, everybody. Our weather experts and news crews are here in the overnight hours to help you weather the storm during this very intense time.
Yes, and thank you so much for trusting us here on Spectrum News 13. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Ibeth Brusual. So let's go ahead and talk about what is happening right now, what we're seeing. We've got our team coverage that continues right now with Mallory Nichols, Maureen McCann, and Chris Gilson. So walk us through what we can expect in the next few hours, guys.
Well, we just got word that Nicole made landfall just to the south of Vero Beach. We were watching the eye wall come ashore here to the south of Brevard County, Indian River County, and St. Lucie County. So now we just got official word that Nicole has made landfall along the coast.
And there's some pretty big stats that come with an East Coast landfalling hurricane this late in the season. This does not happen very often. Wind speeds are at 75 miles per hour. And as you look at Klystron 13 here, we've got some of the eye wall, which is where we have the strongest winds that are pushing into southern Brevard County at this time. Now, if you're in the eye, which parts of Brevard County are at this point, you have that calmness that's going to take over. And because the eye is so large, this may last 30 minutes to even up to an hour. Don't think that it's done quite yet, because on the backside, those winds are going to pick right back up.
And we still have the risk of those very gusty winds area-wide, tropical storm force winds. The tornado threat has been low overall, but we are going to monitor some of these bands as they pivot on shore, especially in that northern eye wall that is shifting across Brevard County, and those bands extend out into the Atlantic. Those are still going to be pushing on shore. So it's going to be several hours of dealing with this sustained wind, heavy rainfall, and that low tornado risk.
And we'll go through all those hazards, break down the timing of Nicole as it continues to work across central Florida. But again, the big headline right now, Ebeth and Curtis, is that it has officially made landfall just south of Vero Beach.
All right, thank you all so much. There you have it there, in Hurricane Nicole coming ashore here, making landfall this morning.
And hearing them talk about the eye wall in southern Brevard County, let's focus on that county, Brevard County. Will Robinson-Smith is joining us from Titusville to walk us through and show us what we're seeing, which seems to be just a tiny bit quieter than last time, or maybe not.
Yeah, maybe it's quieter near the eye wall on the south end of the county. We're up at the north end, across the river from Kennedy Space Center. The winds are still whipping very well. And just looking at the Florida Power and Light power outage map, we've got about 21,000 customers across the Space Coast without power. That includes us. That's why we got cut off last time we were talking to you, is because we were connected to our hotel's power. The hotel lost power. We got a bit of a generator, so we've got a little bit of light here. But if my photographer Vincent can spin around, a lot of the parking lot where you can see those bucket trucks before, hard to see them now because the power to the parking lot is gone across the way. That's the Star Center. That's Lockheed Martin's building where they build the Orion spacecraft for the Artemis program. They've still got some emergency power on there. We're checking with our sources throughout the county as well. A lot of outages affecting throughout Brevard County here this morning. In fact, Cocoa City Hall, for instance, has gone on and off their generator, but they are still able to function, able to communicate with their emergency resources and respond to some of the other issues that we've been seeing, like down power lines. We've got some crews responding to that. Also got some reports of some potential damage to a gas station in Satellite Beach and a tree that fell on a roof of a home down in Melbourne Village. So the wind is doing a lot here on the Space Coast. Obviously, we're staying safe. We've got the protection of a large hotel, and so we're going to continue to keep monitoring the situation out here as the winds whip through the Space Coast. Reporting live here in Titusville, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
All right, thank you, Will, for that live report. We want to go now as we continue coverage in Seminole County. We want to go to now. Jesse Canales is live there at Long Lake Monroe. And Jesse, what are you seeing right now?
Here it is. Very, very choppy waves. You can see this is Lake Monroe. Let me show you. You can see those waves constantly hitting that seawall. Don't be surprised if it comes up and hits us right now. And Let me tell you where I'm at here on Lake Monroe. 1 mile that way, 1 mile east is the hospital. 2 miles that way is the marina. Now this area has been highly affected by past storms like Hurricane Ian, where experienced heavy flooding, and that's still a concern around this area from a location that's still reeling from that storm. And this is what Seminole County leaders tell us, that they don't expect that type of flooding, but they do expect some flooding. And some flooding is something a Sanford resident tells me he's really concerned about.
It will definitely impact. Sanford has a lot of, and I'm speaking Sanford only, Sanford has a lot of cleaning up to do. And now with this storm here, it's just going to push back efforts.
Right there. Now you can see when our meteorologist said that Hurricane Nicole hit, the waters got choppier and they haven't stopped hitting on this seawall and hitting hard. Reporting live in Sanford, Jessica Nellis, Spectrum News 13.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. As we continue to give you more images and more information, just moments ago, our severe weather experts talking about how this hurricane has officially made landfall.
Yeah, it definitely has. And also we can see from talking to some of our reporters, bringing you those live pictures, you can actually see kind of the impact it's having. Now, some of the worst of the impacts have already happened here. If you'll take a look at this picture here, this is from storm surge related to the high tide here. And you take a look, this is damage to a home in Wilbur by the Sea, sent to us by a viewer. It's highlighting how vulnerable the coastline is as Hurricane Nicole, of course, makes landfall and has made landfall. The home is right on the edge there as waves have removed so much of that shoreline there. Just impressive to see that.
No mercy whatsoever for Mother Nature. And this new video out of Melbourne showing what appears to be a transformer explosion out in the distance. A viewer, Aaron Miller, thank you so much for sending in these images to us just a little while ago, and you can see the sky lighting up over the trees. According to Flower, Power and Light, as of this hour, there are thousands of people without power in Brevard County. Actually, Will Robinson-Smith just a little while ago said that 21,000 customers are without power right now, according to FPNL and our Will Robinson-Smith in that particular part of Central Florida. All right, we'll be with you all morning long. Don't go anywhere. I know that tense, everybody's kind of tense right now, but we're up with you with our severe weather experts because they're tracking the very latest. The things are intensifying across our area.
They sure are, and right now we've got Maureen McCann is there. Maureen, tell us what you're seeing right now.
Right now, some of the strongest wind, heaviest rain is in Brevard County, the northern and western side of that eye wall. Now that Nicole has made its way on shore, some areas also seeing some quieter weather. We'll go through the timing of when Nicole moves across the area and when conditions are going to improve. This is Cocoa Beach right now, the Bogan Munzamund Shepherd Park Cocoa Beach cam. We'll have the track and the latest on Nicole up next.
Two things you can always count on with hurricane season. Every hurricane is different.
Vicetron 13 actually able to pick up on those outer rain bands.
And the Spectrum News 13 weather experts will always keep you ahead of the storm.
We are monitoring 2 disturbances in the Atlantic.
Tracking storms coast to coast with the fastest and most detailed information, plus the context you need to be prepared. The weather experts only on Spectrum News 13, keeping you safe this hurricane season on your television and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
HiStack has been helping people for more than 50 years, and we've seen firsthand the devastation an injury can cause to families. We've also seen the tears of joy that come with a successful resolution of a case. People put their trust in us, and we take that responsibility seriously. If you've been injured, call or visit us online to schedule your free consultation. Think HiStack.
Attention mothers, did you take Tylenol or other acetaminophen pain-relieving products while pregnant? Recent evidence suggests children whose mothers took Tylenol while pregnant may be more likely to develop autism. Other acetaminophen products at risk include Excedrin, NyQuil, Dayquil, and other store-brand pain relievers. Children with autism have a hard time interacting with others. Those on the spectrum usually begin exhibiting social symptoms by the time they're 8 to 10 months old. Call now for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-608-1425.
You know, here at Spectrum News 13, we are here to help the community prepare for anything that may come up weather-wise. Sunshine, thunderstorms, hurricanes, we get it all. So we have to provide an accurate forecast because here in Central Florida, we pretty much live outdoors. I love going out and enjoying our great parks, checking out some of the local restaurants. Living here just gives everyone an opportunity to be outside as much as we possibly can.
Another spectacular day here in Central Florida. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brian Carey with your Weather on the One's forecast.
Now that Nicole has officially made landfall, we have some stats to pass along to you about landfall and how this is something we tend to not see often in November. And thank you to Mallory Nichols for compiling this graphic with winds of 75 miles per hour. Landfall was officially on North Hutchinson Island, just south of Vero Beach. As a Category 1 hurricane, so some interesting facts here. This is the latest calendar year hurricane to make landfall on the east coast of Florida. We haven't seen an East Coast landfall since 2005, and that was actually Katrina. And this is the first season since then with 2 Florida landfalls. We have gone 42 days since our last landfall. Last time we did something like that was 2004, which many of you remember. So here is Nicole with winds of 75 miles per hour. Let's go in for a closer view of what's happening in Brevard County, because this is where some of the most intense rain and wind is occurring. Meanwhile, quieter weather, Vero Beach, the Sebastian Inlet, Mico, soon to be Malabar and Grant Falcaria, but you don't want to let your guard down because things will deteriorate quickly on the backside of the low. And the area of low pressure technically has made landfall. The eye is going to be working on shore to the west-northwest, so some of that also moving towards southern Osceola County. But this batch right here that extends across central Brevard County, you can see the oranges and the reds. That's where the most intense rain is. We've sampled some of the winds. These are above the surface. They're around 60 to 70 miles per hour, even stronger offshore. So this is what's pivoting onto land. There is still the low risk of an isolated tornado. I have not seen a whole lot of shear or those winds churning with height. I know Mallory and Chris were monitoring that throughout the last several hours, perhaps a few small pockets, but we are going to see that tornado risk be on the low side, but it's still there. And that's something that could occur with any of these onshore moving bands that are going to be spiraling into northern Brevard County, southern Volusia County, and also interior sections. So this is something that is impacting all of central Florida with that rain that is extending off to the west coast, with the bands even impacting places like Tampa and St. Pete this morning. So as the storm moves to the west-northwest, it will be interacting with land and likely going back tropical storm strength. But regardless, whether it's a Cat 1 hurricane or a tropical storm, the impacts are still going to be the same because the tropical storm force wind field goes out so far to 485 miles. These are some of the wind speeds that we are experiencing right now. Your sustained winds in Melbourne at 52 miles per hour. Some of the peak gusts that we've seen from these reporting sites now to 52 miles per hour in Daytona Beach, 64 miles per hour in Melbourne, and across the I-4 corridor, we have made it to tropical storm strength with Sanford and Orlando both in the low 40s. So gusty winds potentially leading to additional power outages, something that is going to impact us over the course of the morning, but then things improve considerably by Thursday afternoon. But we still have several more hours of weather like this with these gusty winds, these squalls, and the potential for flooding and storm surge flooding too. Coming up, we'll look at the tide cycles and see when that storm surge threat starts to ease, as well as coming up with your forecast throughout the morning. Beth and Curtis.
All right, thank you so much, Maureen. We appreciate you. Now, also want to go right ahead and bring in our Dylan Lyons. He is live right now. We believe in, he's in
New Smyrna
Beach. That's where he has been reporting live from there. Hey, Dylan, can you tell us, what are you seeing right now at this point in time?
Well, Curtis, you bet. Something that we haven't seen a lot of this morning is the rain. This rain has certainly picked up here over the past hour or so since we last talked earlier this morning. The wind picking up as well. It's a lot stronger now. We did see some lightning or something appear in the sky, something lighting up the sky this morning. Not sure what that is, so we'll be sure to check on that and bring that to you later this morning as well. But the wind here picking up. We did see someone on the roadway this morning making sure that people aren't on the roadway, monitoring to make sure people aren't out here as the wind and rain are picking up. The intercoastal is certainly flooding over into the streets this morning, so for people who are at home, they are seeing some flooding onto the roadways if you are near the intercoastal in New Smyrna Beach. But again, don't go near the waterways. You're advised to stay home. There is a mandatory curfew that is in effect for all of Volusia County, so you're going to want to stay home. That went into effect 7 p.m. yesterday evening. But again, the wind, the rain certainly picking up here as Hurricane Nicole inches closer to this area, and we'll continue to keep you updated on the conditions. But for now, reporting live in New Smyrna Beach, Dylan Lyon, Spectrum News.
You know, Dylan mentioned actually something about the people staying off the roads, and that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and check in with our traffic anchor, Jerry Hume. Jerry, what are you seeing right now? We see flashing lights. What's happening there?
Yeah, a good reason not to go on the roads of these slick, wet conditions, the heavy rain, not something you'll be stuck in. We're tracking a crash here. This is Florida's Turnpike at ramp southbound to 417 is blocked right now because of this crash out here, and it's not the only crash we're covering right now. Another one here, the I-4 express lanes eastbound here. We are tracking another crash in this area. Not very many vehicles on the roadways. That is good news as we wanted people to stay home. We'll take you over to the coast. Obviously, we're really watching conditions there. It's really coming down hard here on 95 near Wickham Road in the Vieira, Melbourne area right now. You can also see it from this vantage point at Minton Road and US 192. Very wet. We haven't seen any vehicles. That's good news. Again, we don't want anyone on the roads right now as we are dealing with these very severe situation and severe conditions out there right now. We'll continue to track conditions out there. We'll also take a look at those causeways coming up. But for now, we'll toss it back to Curtis and Impath.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Jerry. Also want to let you know that hopefully in the next few minutes, we'll be talking with somebody from one of the power companies to give us an update as to what they're tracking right now, power-wise.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people concerned about that. As we've been seeing a lot of those numbers grow and grow.
Absolutely. Hey, Cocoa Beach, we're checking you out live this overnight hours, if we can go ahead and show that. Hurricane Nicole officially now made landfall about 20 minutes or so ago in the Treasure Coast area. You had the specific spot, right?
North Hutchins Island is what they said earlier. Indian River and St. Lucie County.
We're going nowhere. Our certified meteorologists are coming back in a moment with an update on Hurricane Nicole.
Spectrum News 13's marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
This sponsorship is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan.
For the people.
No, it has to be 5-star. It's my treat.
I could get used to this.
Double chains and so many diamonds. It's the most we sell in the store.
Oh.
If they have your personal information, anyone can be you. Spectrum One keeps your personal data safe and private. That's privacy protection. That's Spectrum One.
I was in a very bad car accident, and attorney Dan Newling got me $750,000.
As one of the largest personal injury law firms in the United States, my team and I remain committed more than ever to win big on your case. Involved in a car accident? Let's get started. Call me at 407-888-8000. That's 407-888-8000.
Dan, muchas gracias for winning my case.
At
Bears Furniture. Shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Meteorologist Maureen McCann here with Mallory Nichols. About 20 minutes ago, we got official word that Nicole has made landfall. Got to wait till the center of low pressure makes it onto land, even though we saw the eye kind of moving onshore over the span of the last couple of hours.
Yeah, and it's right around the edge of that eye that we typically see the strongest of the winds. But here's the exact stats on that landfall. It occurred at 3 a.m. on North Hutchinson Island, very near Vero Beach, with wind speeds of 75 miles per hour and a pressure of 981. And it's very rare to see an east coast of Florida landfalling hurricane this time of year. It's actually the latest calendar year hurricane to make landfall on the east coast of Florida on record. And it is the first hurricane landfall on the East Coast and the first season with 2 Florida landfalls since 2005, and the shortest span, unfortunately, we don't like the stat at all, between hurricane landfall since 2004, 42 days since we were dealing with the landfall of Hurricane Ian. And now that it's moving inland, it will start to weaken. However, we are going to continue to see those impacts here for the next several hours.
And those impacts showing up especially in Brevard County. Mallory, thank you for those stats, because we have the northern eye wall that has made its way into Brevard. But remember, within the eye, the winds tend to quiet down. The diameter of it is roughly 44 miles as detected here by Clystron 13. So the wind speeds have lessened in these areas. That extends towards the Sebastian Inlet and Mico and soon to be Grant Falcaria. But surrounding it, we have those stronger winds being sampled aloft. And remember, the green means it's moving towards the radar and the red meaning moving away. But regardless, we don't see that red and green coming close together in many spots for there to be any spin-ups. There's still the potential for that. It's a low risk of tornadoes, but these strong winds are what are going to be impacting Brevard County over the span of the next hour or so. You can see how we've sampled those aloft to around 50 to 70 miles per hour. They are a little bit stronger offshore, and that band still has to make its way onto land. We turn to this graphic to see where those winds are turning with height. We look for pockets of the brighter green and yellow. There are a few offshore, and I saw one show up near Grant Falcaria. We're keeping an eye on this graphic to see if there's any rotation that could lead to an isolated tornado. Now, we're not seeing any lightning right now within this frame of view on Clystron 13, but we do have that heavy rain, and those bands are going to somewhat train over the same areas as the flow comes in counterclockwise around low pressure, and that is just going to add on to the rainfall totals that we have been seeing. This is over the last 24 hours, and you can tell that southern Brevard County, near the eye wall, near the stronger bands that are occurring right now, that's where some of these rainfall estimates are, around 2 to 4 inches so far. We'll be adding to that. Remember, this is an inland threat too. It's going to be a heavy rainfall across interior neighborhoods, including the St. Johns Basin along the I-4 corridor. Remember, these are gusty squalls, and this is going to contribute to the risk of additional power outages. We've been going through all the different hazards throughout the morning. One of those, of course, is what's happening at the coast with the threat of beach erosion, and with the next high tide cycle coming up at 8:53 in the morning for Daytona Beach, 8:36 for Cocoa Beach. There'll be another tide cycle later tonight. Low tide is going out right now. That's why I don't have it on the graphic, because it's already passed, but the next low tide will be in the afternoon. So the risk of additional erosion and storm surge flooding is there along our east coast. Among the many hazards, we'll go through more of those later on this hour, and we'll be back with another check of Clystron 13 here in a moment with the latest on Nicole.
All right, see you in a little bit. Time right now, 3:24 this morning in Volusia County. We're currently tracking, of course, everything that has to do with this hurricane at this hour.
We sure are. Katie Streit is live from South Daytona right now. A different location, Katie, where we last saw you.
Yes, definitely a different location, just down the street actually. In the last hour, I mentioned how dangerous it is to be driving right now. We've seen a few cars down the road just driving like it's a regular Tuesday, Wednesday. No, it is definitely, the storm is picking up right now. And right behind me is floodwater. You might think, hey, that looks like a river. No, that is floodwater right there. But around us, it looks completely like it's just a regular rainy day, but then if you turned in here, you would have been stuck in this area. Now you can see and hear that the rain and wind is picking up. Even nearby here is a residential area. Now we're looking over here in this area, and there's definitely going to be some flooding in that apartment complex area because that is where the flood water is coming from. But if you are on the roads right now, make sure you're staying off them because this is definitely some dangerous conditions. We saw a down power line just down the street. There's a sign that looks like it's about to fall off. So definitely these are some dangerous conditions and you need to stay out. You need to stay and go back inside right now. Live in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
All right, Katie, thank you so much for that live report. I know you just you keep seeing how things are picking up with those conditions out there.
Yeah, and I want to give everybody a heads up. If you're just joining us for our coverage, thank you. If you've been with us, you know what I'm about to say. Our severe weather experts have been breaking down periodically a breakdown county by county of when you're going to see the worst weather, when you're going to see the most rainfall, and when the wind is going to be the worst. And I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's very county specific, so people know what's coming their way.
It gives them a lot of information so that, like you said, they know exactly what to look out for. All right, I want to go ahead now and show you some video out of Melbourne. It shows what appears to be a transformer explosion in the distance. Take a look at that. Viewer Aaron Miller sent this to us a little while ago. You can see the sky lighting up over the trees there. There it is. According to Florida Light and Power, now we know that as of this hour, nearly, we know that number has gone up significantly. When we first told you about those 17,000, now it's upward to 20,000 people without power in Brevard County. So we're going to possibly even see those numbers continue to go up.
Yeah, we're going to have a representative from FPNL joining us in a moment over the phone with new information. Stay tuned for that. And now this, mandatory evacuations in effect in parts of Volusia County, including those living in manufactured homes east of I-95 and all campsite and RV recreational parks. There's also a curfew in effect that started at 7 p.m. Wednesday to 7 a.m. Thursday. I've forgotten what day it is.
I know.
It's technically Thursday.
It's technically Thursday. It is.
Oh my goodness, we went from the elections to now storm coverage. Lots going on across Central Florida.
A lot going on, definitely. And I'll mention it, Beth. It was, almost a few months ago on a Thursday when Hurricane Ian made
That's right. It was around the same time of the week. I didn't realize that. Okay, so stay with us here on Spectrum News 13. We'll continue to bring you the very latest. And at the bottom of your screen, constantly updating information. Live pictures on your screen. This is the Flagler Beach Pier. Trust me when I tell you, for the last few hours, that ocean is churning like a beast. Stay with us. You're watching Spectrum News 13 special coverage of Hurricane Nicole. We'll be right back.
My grandson and I enjoy playing basketball, and it had become a weekly thing. But I started noticing my vision was getting worse. Things looked cloudy, and sometimes I had double vision. I just wasn't able to play the way I used to. I went to Tress Vision, and they were able to restore my sight so I could get back to doing what I love.
At Tress Vision Group, formerly Brevard Eye Center, our mission remains the same. We fix your eyesight so you can fix your eyes on what matters most. Let us be your guide on the journey to better vision.
Stop! Don't buy another social campaign. What? The Spectrum Reach ad portal puts our business on the best of TV and streaming. You can do it yourself, run in our computer, and we can afford it. You're me? I'm you, but wiser. The ad portal helps us grow. It targets customers right down to the zip code. You came back in time. Wait, right down to the zip code? And put Siggy in the ads. The customers love him.
Advertise on live TV and streaming. The future of your business will thank you. Spectrum Reach, one advertising partner, and done.
Are you unable to work full-time because of illness, accident, or disability? Did you know that Social Security Disability Insurance can give you up to just over $3,000 per month in benefits? Call now. You may be entitled to Social Security benefits. We handle all the filing for you. We've helped thousands with Social Security disability claims, and we can help you today. The best part is, you don't pay until you receive benefits. Call now to see if you qualify for pre-approval today.
We are connected, engaged, from the moment we rise. We move. We adjust. We learn, explore, relax, and grow together so we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app. Continue with our special Hurricane Nicole coverage, and storm season not done with Central Florida yet.
Right now, you've come right to the right place for complete coverage of the storm's impact, and we're going to be keeping you informed throughout the rest of the morning.
Absolutely, in the overnight hours, as the intensity is happening right now with this situation. Our goal here is to make sure that you feel like you're prepared, and we definitely do not want you to be scared. We've got updated information for you right now.
We sure do. Time now 3:30. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Ebeth Bruswal. On deck is somebody from FPNL giving us a breakdown in a moment of the power outages that we're seeing across the area. And of course, we're checking in with our reporters. We've got Will Robinson-Smith, Katie, Jesse, Greg, Nicole, and so many more joining us here in just a little bit. Live team coverage this overnight hour.
We sure do, but first we want to go ahead and get you to the weather with our team of certified meteorologists who've been tracking all of this morning. We've got Maureen McCann as well as Chris Gilson, joined by Mallory Nichols here this morning to start things off this half hour. Hey guys.
Good morning, Curtis and Beth. And as we told you at the top of the hour, Nicole made landfall south of Vero Beach here, and we will get another full update coming up at 4 o'clock. Now, as we're going to be talking about soon, are the power outages here across Central Florida, and we're seeing the highest wind gusts right along our coast. 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gust reports earlier during the overnight hours, Maureen, and now we're seeing that translate to these power outages, especially in Brevard County and now stretching into Orange County.
Yeah, we just saw the numbers start to go up a little bit in Brevard and expect those to climb, knowing how strong the winds are in these areas, as we have some of the strongest bands affecting Brevard County right now. Melbourne sustained winds of 52, and gusts have been as high as 60 miles per hour, right now coming in at 64. Daytona Beach, that is a wind gust of 52, and even inland tropical storm force. When we go back to the radar, we're able to see that that band is over central Brevard County and soon to be moving into East Orange County. The St. John's Basin also will be picking up a lot of rain out of this, Chris.
A lot of rain still to come too. We have had reports or estimates of about 2 to 4 inches of rain in portions of Brevard County. So really along the I-95 corridor, that's where we've had the strongest winds and the heaviest rain so far. Some of the rain starting to pick up a little bit closer to Orlando right now, stretching into the Sanford area and into inland Volusia County along I-4. So closer to the center of Nicole is where we have the steadier rain. If you're back to the west in Ocala and Leesburg, you'll likely see the rain pick up later on this morning. We'll break down all the hazards and go into detail on the timing of Nicole as it continues to cross through Central Florida coming up in this half hour. Ebeth and Curtis.
All right, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. We'll be checking back in with you in just a bit. Now, we are monitoring Hurricane Nicole in Titusville.
Will Robinson-Smith is joining us from Brevard County to explain how things have progressively gotten worse. Take it from here, Will.
Yeah, I would say things have gotten a bit worse up here. The wind seems to be picking up pretty noticeably as we're here in Titusville across the river from Kennedy Space Center. Want to go to an image that we got from the city of Cocoa right now. This is on Indian River Drive near Dixon Road, so just to the east of US 1, one of the main north-south thoroughfares. You can see a tree down across the road there. This is an area that historically tends to flood a good amount of time because it's proximity to the Indian River. Was told by city official, fortunately they're not dealing with as much rain water on the road as they had for Ian, but you've got that road that's obstructed because of the tree that is completely blocking the way. So just an example of what the wind is doing here across the Space Coast. A lot of blustery conditions, a lot of down power lines and power outages that we've seen. And in fact, we talked about the rocket for the Artemis 1 mission, the Space Launch System out at the pad at 39B. Just checked with the National Weather Service tracker out there. They've clocked a gust that was about 85 miles per hour. That's the upper limit that NASA says that rocket is designed to withstand at the pad. So once this storm clears, teams are going to have to take a good hard look at that rocket and reevaluate it. Make sure there's not any notable damage before they get ready for launch next week. We're now reporting live here in Titusville. Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
Thank you so much, Will. You can see the sheets of rain that are just seen. They're illuminated by the light in the parking lot behind Will.
Definitely so.
And he's in Titusville, so he's on the northern side of Brevard County, but this hurricane made landfall south of Vero Beach, so that's, of course, the county south of Brevard County, but the intensity, because the storm is so wide.
It's so wide-reaching, and the impacts felt for miles and miles.
And as the winds pick up, what we're seeing is the power outages start to happen more and more.
And those numbers starting to tick up. We want to go ahead right now and bring in Peter Robbins with Florida Power and Light right now, if we can. Go ahead and bring him in. Peter, can you hear us this morning?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you this morning?
We're good. We're good. How are you? And we appreciate you for joining us. Wanted to ask you, just starting off right now, what are you seeing across the board here? We know that we've been seeing those numbers slowly go up, especially there on the coast, especially in Brevard County.
Yeah, what we're seeing really lines up with what your reporters were just talking about in the field, that we're seeing increased wind speeds. We've obviously had a lot of rain over the past 12 or 14 hours or so, and we're seeing some outages creep up. Right now in Brevard County, we've got about 22,000 customers without power, but for perspective, that's less than 10% of our customers in Brevard. And while I don't have specific locations on all those outages, I would imagine they're clustered fairly close to the coastline where we've seen the strongest wind speeds.
Let me ask you this. Are you able to share with us what kind of resources you have at the ready, so once it is deemed safe hours from now to go out, that you have ready to go out and restore power?
Absolutely. We've got a small army. We've got 13,000 men and women ready to go. What we do before the storm is pre-position them so that once the weather is clear, they are close to where we think the damage is going to be. We don't want our crews to spend their time driving after the storm. We want them where they need to be, restoring power right away. So we've got those crews dispersed throughout the entire east coast of Florida, and they'll be ready to jump into action as soon as the weather is safe for them.
Now, Peter, I know that, this is a little bit early to tell, but people at home may be wanting to know, how quickly will you all be able to get out there and restore power once the storm is out of the way?
Yeah, that's a great question. We'll do it as soon as we possibly can, while we also have a priority of keeping our crews safe. So once those winds really drop below 35 miles an hour, that's kind of our main threshold. Our crews will be in the field actively restoring power. In the meantime, we can work behind the scenes and try to restore some power with technology and reroute power around trouble spots, which can help people get their lights on much faster after a storm.
Okay, that's really interesting, that last part. I didn't know there was a shorter way to do it. All right, listen, thank you so much. Peter Robbins joining us in the overnight hours with more what's happening regarding the power outages. FPNL has 13,000 personnel at the ready.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive there to help get people power restored pretty quickly there once it's safe to do so. Peter telling us there about once it's about 35 miles per hour winds and we're down to that speed, they can get out there and actually do some work. Okay, we continue our team coverage now with our next reporter. We've got Nicole joining us. Nicole reporting on Nicole in Daytona Beach. I know it can be a little bit confusing and the conditions definitely continue to get worse. How is the flooding looking in your area?
Good morning. Yeah, we're in Port Orange now, and the flooding does seem to be a major concern, especially in some of the residential roads right along the Halifax River. As you can see, conditions just getting worse out here. The wind is just thrashing us. A lot of rain. It's raining sideways. And as we were just talking about power outages, I would imagine we're going to see a lot of that here in Port Orange because the sky just keeps lighting up orange. We're just seeing transformer after transformer pop in this weather now. Within the last 30 minutes, we probably saw 4 or 5 of them. So that's something definitely to be aware of. We are seeing a lot of power lines that are swaying, so not a good time to be anywhere near a power line. We are seeing trees going down. This definitely has gotten a lot worse within the last 30 minutes or so out here near the Halifax River. So just to keep that in mind, it's even stronger conditions over on the beach side, too strong that we had to move off. That's the area where there are mandatory evacuation orders in place right now. They closed down the bridges to get over to the beach side, so you'll have to wait until the storm passes if you need to get over there. We're hearing from county officials that they need to have FDOT officials come out and inspect the bridge before they open any of the bridges over to the beach in Volusia County. So definitely a lot of work will need to be done after Hurricane Nicole passes. But we'll keep monitoring the conditions for you. For now, reporting live in Port Orange, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much for that live report. You can just see as our crews change locations, the longer they're out there in those elements, the conditions start to deteriorate.
Yeah, I would have to say anything along our coast, Brevard County, Volusia County, Flagler County, they're getting pounded right now, but the inland areas are not immune to this. I was over in the Sanford area, Lake Monroe, and the conditions are getting worse by, I wouldn't say the hour, by the minute. And I'm wondering also about the storm surge, speaking of our coastal counties, because it's not just like, oh, it started a few hours ago. The last few days, they've been dealing with high tide, low tide.
Exactly. And then not to mention everything that's still the impacts of Hurricane Ian that people are still trying to, flood waters, especially out in the Sanford area where I live. It is still a lot of flood waters out there in the Lake Jessup area.
Let's bring in our expert right now, certified meteorologist Maureen McCann, with more on what we can expect to happen now and for the next few hours, Maureen.
The winds are at their strongest right now in Brevard County with this band that is moving now into East Orange County as well. Chris Gilson just told me that he saw a report coming in that Melbourne, the airport, a wind gust came in of 73 miles per hour. So remember, hurricane strength is 74. So here we are with Clystron 13. If you are just joining us, if the rain, if the wind woke you up, well, we are going to see those conditions kind of hold like that for the next couple of hours as Nicole tracks to the west-northwest. It has already made landfall along North Hutchinson Island, just south of Vero Beach. And the winds are going to likely lessen as it moves on shore or further inland, and you get that land interaction as opposed to being out over the water. The track has it into the Big Bend area by 7 o'clock tonight. So between now and then, we will see those bands of rain moving west-northwest, pushing inland. But right now, some of the strongest winds and heaviest rain are with this batch right here, and that is moving into Titusville, Port St. John, Sharps, Rockledge, and Vieira, getting some of that very heavy rainfall. We have been on guard for any brief spin-ups that could occur within these bands. The threat for that is low, but it's something that we're going to continue to watch. Again, these are pushing inland, rotating around counterclockwise with the area of low pressure. So moving along the beach line, East Orange County, this set to be moving into places like the UCF campus, Avalon Park, and Lake Nona. Going to see some of that rain eventually towards Maitland, Altamont Springs, and again, Castleberry getting some of that wet weather as it moves on shore. So this is an area-wide threat. It's not just at the coast. And remember, the impacts span far beyond what the cone represents. So we mentioned those wind gusts and how they are to 52 miles per hour sustained in Melbourne, but the airport registered a gust recently to 73 miles per hour. We've seen those wind gusts now to 60 in Sanford, 48 miles per hour at Orlando International Airport. So the core of the potentially hurricane force winds is is quite small. And as we go forward throughout the morning and there's land interaction, those wind speeds will come down some as the storm encounters some friction with land as opposed to being out over the open water. The orange represents where winds could be 58 miles per hour or greater. So that is Brevard County, Osceola County. That means ongoing threat for more power outages. But notice as this goes forward, the orange area moves through the Orlando metro area, Four Corners region, Southern Lake County, and into Sumter County. But the yellow encompasses all of Central Florida. That's how large this wind field is, some 425 miles or greater. That's how far out tropical storm force winds will be. We'll start to see those conditions improve early this afternoon. Southern Brevard and Osceola County. The last to see the winds diminish would be for those who are in Marion County. Quick update on the river flooding too. That's something that is occurring inland. We're now to major flood stage for the St. Johns River near Astor. We'll get the updated hydrograph for you to show you with another check of the weather coming up. But in the meantime, we're looking at the intense bands of rain and wind occurring now through this morning, improving throughout Thursday afternoon and evening, and especially with the forecast going into the weekend. We'll be looking at those county by county impacts coming up with your forecast. We'll send it right back to Beth and Curtis.
All right, thank you. And speaking of those intense, rain bands and wind that we're seeing across the area, we want to go ahead and show you now our other reporter who's out in the field right now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and send things over right now to Jesse Canales. He is in Sanford along Lake Monroe. And Jesse, what are you seeing right now at this point in time?
Well, Curtis, the wind is getting stronger. The lake feels angrier with the choppy waters you see over here. And you can see one big concern a lot of Sumter County leaders had is the wind pushing the water from Lake Monroe onto the roads, onto the streets, especially around this area in Sanford, about only 2 miles away from downtown Sanford, a little more than a mile away from Monroe Hospital, and 2 miles away from the marina. This is an area that was heavily impacted by Hurricane Ian, and the concern is it would cause even more flooding around this time around. Some of the county leaders say they don't expect the level of flooding that we saw about a month ago, but they do expect some flooding. Currently, the National Weather Service says that the St. Johns River is about 6.6 feet, and it will go up another 2 inches. Now, that would impact lower level areas around Sanford, and you can see why with the wind constantly bringing some of that Lake Monroe water onto the streets. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jess Canales, Spectrum News 13.
Thank you so much, Jesse. We'll be seeing him throughout the overnight. Just down the road from where he is a hospital. Also, there's the St. Johns River steak and seafood restaurant and an assisted living facility. When the sun comes up, I'd like to see what's happening there. So we'll be checking on that as well.
Definitely so. Definitely.
Jerry Hume joining us now with flashing lights, and now we've got problems on the roads. What's happening now, Jerry?
Yeah, we're still tracking some crashes. It's a big reason why you don't want to be on the roads right now. This is Florida's Turnpike. That ramp to 417 blocked because of this wreck out here. And yeah, first responders have to go out there and respond to those vehicles that end up in these incidents. So you want to keep them safe and keep yourself safe. Stay off the roads right now. Let's take you over to I-4, the express lanes. Also tracking a crash here. This is going to be near Florida's Turnpike. Eastbound, there's a left lane because of that crash. Let's take you to the coast, and we are watching those conditions just deteriorate for that drive. You can see some vehicles still out there, like that semi-tractor trailer carrying some trucks, carrying some cars, I should say. 95, this is near the 520 right now, and yeah, it is coming down. Can also take you up to Volusia County right now. This is I-95 near I-4. The camera here is shaking a little bit, and there's one vehicle. We will talk to you a little bit. We've got our sensors activated, our icons activated, showing us some alerts out there. The causeways blocked here in New Smyrna Beach, also in Daytona Beach, and they will be this way until FDOT can inspect those bridges to make sure they're okay. We also have A1A blocked because of some erosion here to the roadway in Flagler Beach. This is between 18th Street and 10th Street. We will continue to track conditions throughout the morning here on the roads, but the best advice is to stay off them. You bet. Curtis, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Jerry Hume, with the very latest on trouble on the roads in the overnight hours. Of course, we'll continue to be with you in the overnight hours into the morning as we continue to track Hurricane Nicole's impact.
Yes, we are right here. Please don't go anywhere. Trust us to be your eyes and ears as this storm moves through our area. You're taking a live look right now at the Flagler Beach Pier. The water, the waves out there, pretty choppy. We've got a live team coverage coming your way right here on Spectrum News 13.
Watch all month long as Spectrum News 13 celebrates Veterans and Military Families Month. This is Community. This is Spectrum News 13. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here. In our podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries worried about COVID-19. COVID-19 tests are now covered by Medicare Part B. It's true. That's right. Just call the number on your screen and Achieve DX will ship you your rapid COVID test at no cost straight to your home. These easy-to-use FDA EUA authorized tests will give you results in 15 minutes. Even if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you can have these tests delivered to your home at no cost to you, and the shipping is free.
Call 1-800-649-3957. That's 1-800-649-3957. Call now.
From sunrise to sunset, stay informed with the Spectrum News morning and evening briefings, keeping you connected throughout your day from your team at News 13, providing you with local news that matters to you and your daily weather planners. Turn on notifications in the Spectrum News app for every weekday update. Spectrum News, your community connection, available on the App Store and Google Play.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. That's when I found this, the Brux Night Guard. Now the Brux Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brux Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Go to bruxnightguard.com and order yours today.
It is 3:51. We're going to get a full advisory on Hurricane Nicole coming up here at the top of the hour. Chris Gilson and Marie McCann with you, tracking the very latest. At the top of the hour at 3 o'clock, we got the official word that Nicole made landfall to the south of Vero Beach and making it the latest landfall on record for Florida's East Coast. Now, go ahead.
Sorry. And 42 days since our last landfall. So with Ian still fresh in our mind, we keep saying, you know, this is not an Ian situation, but still a dangerous and hazardous situation from the coast spreading inland, with Clystron 13 showing some of those heavy bands on the northern side of the eye.
One of the big headlines overnight has been the winds, and we've shown you some video earlier from some of our reporters out on the field showing the flashes out there with some of the transformers blowing with the high winds that we've had, and we've had wind gust reports upwards of 70 miles per hour in Brevard County mostly. In Melbourne Airport reporting a 73 mile per hour wind gust. So embedded within some of these heavy squalls that we have working through that are basically kind of lining up along I-4 and points to the east, we could have those high winds, and it looks like the chance for the strongest winds will continue to be in Brevard County and also into Osceola County. But we're looking at the rain kind of increasing around Winter Park, Maitland, Orlando, the Orlando International Airport, Lake Nona, Titusville, and Rockledge, seeing some of the heavier downpours. Now we're going to go in here on the winds and take a look at some of the samples here that we're getting on Clystron 13. And some of these winds over 50 miles per hour, closer to 60 miles per hour just off the East Coast. And as we go into Osceola County, we're seeing those brighter shades of red, upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. So the winds continue to crank up here as these heavier bands work in on the northern side of Nicole's eye. And you can see the eye here, the center of the storm, basically stretching from Melbourne down toward the Vero Beach area, and then pinwheeling around it is all the heavy rain. So if you're back toward the west in Ocala, Leesburg, and the villages, you'll likely see a later onset to some of the heavier rain. And with more of the county by county impacts, let's send it back over to Maureen.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we want to show you the timing of when conditions will be at their worst for you. And we'll take a tour starting in Brevard County and essentially right now through 7 a.m. Now, it may be noisy. It may be very windy outside. Some of you are likely going to experience power outages going forward because those winds will still be gusting to 65 to 75 miles per hour. Remember, we want you to be prepared and not scared. Getting into your safe place. Of your safe place, it's 3:54 in the morning, and hopefully you're home and in your secure place. But just know where you would go if we did get into a brief tornado warning. That threat is low, but it is always there with any tropical system. Osceola County, your worst weather through 8 a.m. Rainfall amounts may top 3 to 5 inches, in addition to seeing those strong gusts. In Orange County through 9 a.m. as those strong winds pivot in from the east, those gusts may be up to 60 miles per hour. We've already seen them to 48 at Orlando International Airport. In Seminole County, I know the St. John's is still something that we're monitoring very closely, and we've seen those levels rise a little bit above Lake Harney. In Sanford, you have some heavy rain pushing in. You could see 2 to 4 inches and wind gusts of tropical storm force. In Lake County, the onset a little bit later for you and lasting a little bit later through around 11 a.m. with winds still to 50 to 60 miles per hour. You could get those gusts in Sumter County through 1 p.m. and eventually things will improve during the afternoon. Back to Marion County, this should be where the storm exits later. So 1 p.m., the lingering rain and wind, and then back to Flagler County, where the storm surge threat is going to be a hazard up to 3 to 5 feet, something we also could be seeing in Volusia County. So those are your county by county hazards. Next hour, we'll be taking a look at the river levels along the St. John's. We'll also look ahead to the tide times to see when that next high tide cycle comes up and when flooding could be at its worst along the coast. So all that coming up next hour as we continue to monitor Hurricane Nicole. Beth and Curtis.
All right, thank you so much, Maureen. In Volusia County right now, we are first tracking Hurricane Nicole.
Katie Strike continues our live team coverage. Things are definitely getting worse there. Don't take my word. Take a look at the live pictures. Hey, Katie.
Hey, yeah, you can tell just by how wet I am. It is the rain is definitely picking up here, and of course we still have flooding in the background, so it's the conditions here in South Daytona are just getting worse. So if you are out and about, now is just not the time. The wind is picking up, the rain is picking up, so it is definitely not a safe condition to be out and about at this point in time. Again, live in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
All right, thank you, Katie. You see that rain coming down sideways, and our severe weather experts continue to give you a breakdown of what you're seeing and what you will be seeing in the next few hours: the wind, the rain, the storm surge, and our power outages. Live pictures of West Melbourne, the wet roads. Jerry Hume also will be joining us in a little bit to talk about what he's seeing out there, because we are seeing some crashes.
Yeah, we are, and I know that this is just to be able to see this, see what's going on out there, be your eyes and ears. We are here to be there for you. You're watching Spectrum News 13 here as we continue coverage of Hurricane Nicole making landfall around 3 a.m. this morning.
The expert injury attorneys at Todd Minor Law are proud supporters of our local community. Now, here's a look at some great upcoming events.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
I wanted to be a meteorologist to follow in my dad's footsteps. He's not only a meteorologist, but he's also driven me to do a little more. I'd add more to my plate, like baking, because I like the challenge. Here at Spectrum News 13, we're constantly furthering our education. I decided to get my master's in emergency management in order to bring the best forecast to our viewers and prepare them. I'm constantly trying to get better. It's definitely rewarding. I'm meteorologist Mallory Nichols, Spectrum News 13.
Imagine a knife taking this much abuse and didn't need sharpening. Introducing the incredible NutriBlade knives, coated with granite stone non-stick and made of stainless steel, one of the hardest substances on Earth. Now everyone can chop, slice, and dice just like a pro. Order right now to get this professional 6-piece set of NutriBlades for just $29.95. We'll even ship them to you free. Get your own NutriBlade knives, the last knives you'll ever buy.
My first love has always been journalism. Spectrum News 13 is allowing me to come into people's lives. We are there as the story is breaking, and we follow it through weeks and months afterwards. That's how we do storytelling. My reward is going out into the community, talking to people, getting to know their personal stories. So there's a connection there. For me to be able to say I'm a journalist on Spectrum News 13 is just the cherry on top.
If your long-term disability claim was denied, listen closely. You may be able to recover money. Unum is one of the largest disability insurance carriers, and companies you know like Colonial Life, New York Life, and National Life Group are all part of the Unum family. Unum was fined millions for wrongly denying claims. You may be owed compensation. Let us help you through the appeal process.
Call Sokolov Law, 800-568-5049. That's 800-568-5049. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Hi, everybody. Time right now, 4 o'clock. Just moments ago, Hurricane Nicole got downgraded. It is now a tropical storm, but its fierce winds and rain are relentless. We've got more right now.
Yeah, we sure do. We know where we remember the area is still recovering from Hurricane Ian, and now this storm as well. Our weather experts and news crews are here to help you weather this storm throughout the rest of this morning.
Okay, we're going to be checking in with Will Robinson-Smith. He's in Brevard County in a moment, and Jesse Canales over in Seminole County. But first, yes, we do want to go ahead and get you to our weather experts this morning. Right now at almost 4:01, we are joined by certified meteorologist Maureen McCann and certified meteorologist Chris Gilson. Good morning, you all. How are things looking right now at 4 a.m.?
At 4 a.m., as you mentioned, now we have Tropical Storm Nicole, downgraded from a hurricane, but we didn't see a huge drop in the winds. It's still packing winds of 70 miles per hour around its center. That's down from 75 miles per hour when it made landfall, but the movement is to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour.
And the center, the latest positioning, has it 60 miles to the southeast of Orlando and 25 miles to the northwest of Vero Beach. So as those bands of rain push inland, the threats continue, regardless of whether it's a hurricane or a tropical storm at this point. The difference is so minimal because we still have the ongoing concerns for very strong winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, especially Brevard County, East Orange, and Osceola counties. Plus, we have the risk for flooding. This is something that, we should be in dry season right now, Chris. We were looking at some of the rainfall records. This is November. It should be a lot quieter, but it is technically still hurricane season.
It is. It doesn't end until November 30th. It's rare to have this type of system making landfall on our East Coast. In fact, it's so rare that this is the latest landfall on our East Coast on record for the month of November. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we brought you the landfall, which was south of Vero Beach at North Hutchinson Island there in Indian River County. It made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane, but this hour it has now been downgraded to a tropical storm. However, the impacts continue to still be the same here across central Florida. So the first hurricane landfall on the east coast of Florida and the first season with 2 Florida landfalls since 2005. So a lot of records being set, unfortunately, with this Atlantic hurricane season. And we'll have more on the impacts coming up.
That's right. We'll look at the impacts county by county. We'll we'll look ahead, see when the next high tide cycle is. We saw what that did yesterday with the high tides along our east coast. We'll have those tide times for you, and we'll have the latest with Clystron 13 coming up.
All right, we'll see you in a little bit. One of the things that we've been focusing on is as the wind increases, the power outage numbers go up, and Brevard County has just over 21,000 people without power right now.
They sure do want to go now to Titusville, where our Will Robinson Smith has been pretty much all morning long. And Will, what are you seeing right now? How are conditions there?
Yeah, we're still up on generator power here at the Courtyard Hotel across from Kennedy Space Center. Story across the Space Coast, a lot of folks without power right now as crews are waiting till it's a bit less windy so they can go out and deal with some of these down power lines. You showed some video down in Melbourne earlier in the evening or overnight of one of those blown generators, so a lot of things contributing to these power outages. One of the things we're also keeping a very close eye on, though, is the Space Launch System rocket, which is standing tall for now at the pad at Launch Complex 39B. This is what it looks like in the good times. Right now, though, unfortunately, not so great. The National Weather Service has a monitor out there, clocked a max wind gust of 89 miles per hour. NASA only rated the SLS rocket to withstand winds of about 85 miles per hour. So once now Tropical Storm Nicole clears out, and it's safe to do so, the crews at Kennedy Space Center are going to have to take a very close look at that rocket, and of course the Orion spacecraft on top, make sure it didn't sustain any notable damage. Of course, they're trying to launch this thing no earlier than November 16th. They were looking at Monday, but they wanted to give the team a couple of extra days to do full checkouts, make sure there wasn't any water intrusion at the pad, and obviously that the rocket didn't have any damage itself. Something we're going to be tracking very closely in the days to come once the storm pushes out of here and we've got light up and eyes on that rocket. Lots to keep track of here on the Space Coast. Reporting live here in Titusville, Will Robinson Smith, Spectrum News.
Thank you, Will, for that context, because you know he's standing there in the parking lot, but the key is what is across from him on the other side.
I'm telling you,
is that rocket at the Kennedy Space Center. That wind gust, he said, was 89 miles an hour.
And then the threshold, he said 85, and so that puts it in perspective right there. A lot of people wanting to see this rocket happen. Hopefully, we'll see that things are okay with him.
Okay, so from Brevard County over to Seminole County we go this morning.
Yes, we do. Jesse Canales is there right now. He is live right there along the shoreline of the of Lake
Monroe is raging right now. Walk us through what you're seeing.
Molly Bev, lots of wind pushing up that water from Lake Monroe onto roads, onto streets. It's crashing hard, and it's bringing a big concern, and that is flooding when it brings the water onto these roads and onto these streets. Now, this area still remains under a flood watch, and you can see it's easy to tell why. And another thing with the strong winds is the potential debris it may bring. Let's not forget, Seminole County leaders say they've been working hard to clean up debris from Hurricane Ian. That was about a month ago. They say in rural areas it's been difficult to pick up because some of those roads are hard to get through. One Sanford resident says for him it's flooding still the issue.
I have seen debris being picked up and cleaned up, and the Sanford has done a great job at that. I don't think we're going to have as much debris, but I am concerned about the rain. That's my main concern.
And around this Lake Monroe area, there's several busy intersections. Here we have downtown Sanford, about 2 miles from here, the Marina, about 2 miles from here, and also Monroe Hospital, about a little more than a mile from here. We'll keep an eye on them and how they're doing after this within the next hour. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jessica Ellis, Spectrum News 13.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. And just down the road from where he's at right now, there's a hospital there.
Right, there is.
That's at risk of flooding if a Category 1 hurricane hits. That's according to a study. And the Orlando Sentinel did a story on that back on October 19th. And that hospital is just down the road from where he is. I drove by there a little while ago, about 3 hours ago. It seemed okay.
It did.
It seemed fine, but we will, of course, continue to monitor once the sun goes up, see what happens.
Oh, definitely. A lot of eyes on everything out there, especially in that downtown Sanford area, to see how it fares.
It's a shame because it's such a pretty area.
Such a pretty area.
And it's just, we want it to get cleaned up so people can get back out there, get back to their jobs, get back to spending their money if they want to go sightseeing. But
absolutely,
we have to clean up after this storm. Okay, we continue now looking at images that we're getting from our viewers. This is just horrific. This is a home in Wilbur by the Sea. A viewer sent that to us, so thank you for that, highlighting how vulnerable the coastline is. This is with Hurricane Nicole. And the home is right there on the edge. You can see that sand, that precious sand, has just washed away. The hurricane just basically taking a chunk out of the shoreline.
Yeah, those, like you said, those images are pretty impressive there. You know, just hopeful that everything's okay with those homeowners there.
Absolutely. And of course, throughout the overnight hours into the morning, we continue to give you the very latest. We actually have one of our severe weather experts standing by for a quick taste of what we're about to see weather-wise.
Beth, we are still obviously tracking Nicole and the heavy rain and the high winds it's producing. We'll take a look at some of the wind reports when we come back and break down the timing of Nicole's track across Central Florida when we come back with Klystron 13.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Wusthof Brevard Hospice and Palliative Care, the hometown hospice choice since 1984.
Central Florida is a community where people quickly become connected with one another.
When you watch your evening news, you'll see a reflection of yourself, your issues, your neighborhood.
And I hope by seeing our stories, people become better informed and inspired to be involved in our communities.
We're stronger together, and I feel lucky to be able to call this home. Join us for your evening news on Spectrum News 13 and on the Spectrum News app.
This hurricane season, stay informed and prepared with the Spectrum News app. Get up-to-the-minute information from your weather experts, live Klystron 13 radar, and set up essential alerts when you need them most. Spectrum News, your community connection. Available on the App Store and Google Play. And the Spectrum News 13 weather experts will always keep you ahead of the storm with the fastest and most detailed information, plus the context you need to be prepared, keeping you safe this hurricane season on your television and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Car repairs. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, it's when. If your vehicle is a 2001 or newer model with under 150,000 miles and currently in good running condition, this message is for you.
We wanted to protect ourselves from sky-high repair bills. That's why we got a complete car warranty.
A new engine can cost over $5,500, AC over $1,100, transmission over $4,100. Get the coverage you need at a price you can afford. Call 800-482-8309 for a free and instant protection plan quote.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
It is 4:11. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Maureen McCann tracking the very latest on Tropical Storm Nicole. The latest that just came in is that the hurricane warnings that we had posted for Brevard County were allowed to be canceled because now we're looking at a tropical storm. Nicole was a hurricane as it made landfall to the south of Vero Beach, but within the past hour it has weakened some, down from 75-mile-per-hour winds to 70-mile-per-hour winds. Regardless, not too much of a difference in the impacts that we're experiencing here in Central Florida as it continues to move to the west and northwest at 14 miles per hour. Now the wind field with this thing has been impressive. The center of Nicole is to the 60 miles to the southeast of Orlando, so it's going to continue to move to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. Notice the bands of rain setting up here that continue to really focus right along I-4 and into Brevard County and Volusia County. And now the winds will be a big concern here as we go through the rest of the morning. The extent of those tropical storm force winds extend out about 485 miles. The hurricane force winds earlier extended out only about 25 miles. So it's really been those tropical storm force winds that have been a big concern. But we did have those wind gusts over 70 miles per hour in some spots here in Central Florida. In fact, at the Melbourne airport, we had a wind gust up to 73 miles per hour, a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust earlier during the overnight hours in Indian Atlantic, and New Smyrna Beach, a wind gust of 60 miles per hour along with Merritt Island. And just within the past hour, too, Sanford Airport reporting a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that's the highest wind gust that we've had away from the coast so far there in Sanford of 60 miles per hour. So we're likely going to have some of those stronger gusts here working a little bit closer to the I-4 corridor. And as we take a look at the gust in Orlando in the past hour, up to 53 miles per hour. So as Nicole continues to track across the region, these bands of rain will be setting up, and embedded will have those stronger winds here across the area. The good news to report is that the tornado risk has been pretty low. We don't have any tornado watches, no tornado warnings. We haven't had any warnings during the overnight. Typically with tropical storms and hurricanes, we get that tornado threat, but that hasn't been the case this morning. However, that's not to say that we couldn't have an isolated tornado pop up, but everything that we've been seeing so far has been the high winds, and those high winds here along the coast in Brevard County, Volusia County, and now into Orange County. We're starting to see more power outages as Nicole continues to move to the west and northwest. So the rain really filling in along the I-4 corridor, stretching back into western Orange County around Apopka and Ocoee, and eventually some of this heavier rain could work into Lake County around Claremont. Down toward Kissimmee, you're seeing some pockets of heavier rain, Titusville, Rockledge, and Satellite Beach in Melbourne. We'll put a pause on the radar. Now, we're not going to see the rain amounts that we had with Ian, but it's not going to take a lot to kind of do some damage here with all the flooding and everything that we've seen along the St. Johns River. So looking at the rainfall totals over the past 3 hours, the heavier rain has kind of set up in Brevard County, and that's where it's been the most persistent. So over the 3 hours, we've seen about an inch of rainfall here in Brevard County. When you look at it over the past 24 hours, it's been about 2 to 4 inches of rain. That will continue to add up as we go through the next several hours. Nicole will eventually lift to the west and northwest as we head toward mid-morning into the early afternoon. So this is a look at Futurecast. This is beginning right about now, and as we head toward 5, 6 o'clock, you can see the heavier rain kind of favoring areas along I-4, and then back to the north and west into Ocala, the Villages, Wildwood, over toward Palm Coast and Flagler Beach. That will continue to be the case through about noon, and it's going to move out pretty quickly. So as we head toward mid-afternoon into the evening, we'll start to dry things out quite a bit here across Central Florida, and outside of a few lingering showers, we're looking pretty good as we go into the weekend. We'll break down the timing and some of the other hazards that we're watching, including storm surge, and we'll take a look at those power outages coming up in less than 10 minutes. Beth and Curtis?
We'll continue to check back with you to see what's happening as the overnight hours progress. And I know we're getting messages on social media from our viewers saying thank you for keeping us abreast, because what's happening is the wind is howling and people are waking up and trying to figure out what is happening. So here's a little bit of good news. It's been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm, but the impacts are still being felt.
Right, because if you were listening and you heard along what Chris said, those winds, not a huge difference as they diminish there. So this thing is still packing quite a punch. So you do want to be mindful as you do make your way out. If you need to go out at 4 a.m., a lot of people inside, making sure that they can stay out of harm's way.
Absolutely, but some folks have to get to work, and so some people are out on the roads. Let's go ahead and check in with our traffic anchor, Jerry Hume, who's monitoring the wet roadways right now. So how are we looking, Jerry?
Yeah, well, the good news is not many people are out on the roadways, and that's the way we want it out there, because we are dealing with some really wet, slick conditions out there. We've had visibility reduced in certain spots. Going to take you here to Edgewater in southern Volusia County. This is US 1 near State Road 442. It is windy here from this vantage point. You can kind of make the street sign is swaying out here. We haven't seen any vehicles in this spot here in the last 10 or so minutes. I want to take you over to Brevard County. This is going to be the Viera, Melbourne area. This is US 1 here near Suntree. Also no vehicles on the roadway. That's good news right now. We've been tracking some crashes inland for you On the turnpike, this one just cleared here, southbound to 417. Had first responders out here. Also had first responders responding to a crash on the express lanes of I-4 East here near Florida's Turnpike. Very slick inland as well. You can see we've got those wet road conditions. Just a few vehicles out on the roadways right now. Over in Brevard County, we'll take you back there right now, and you can really see from the lamppost that rain is coming down here on 95, which is empty right now. This is going to be 95 near State Road 407, so very close to the Kennedy Space Center, where they're dealing with a heavy rain ban right now. In fact, when we take it to the big map right now, our sensors, they are indicating, along with the weather overlay, what we're seeing right now, which is, yeah, not good to be out there for that morning drive. So hopefully you can stay at home right now. We know a lot of schools are out. We got a lot of people working from home, and you can see that the causeways are also closed here. This is in Volusia County and New Smyrna Beach. We've got our icons indicating these closures right now. Also, the causeways are closed here in Daytona Beach. Up in Flagler Beach, dealing with some beach erosion. A1A is blocked right now between 18th Street and 10th Street right now. And in Brevard County, no causeways are closed. They don't close them until after the storm, when FDOT can inspect them. So right now those causeways are still open for anyone from the Barrier Island that wants to come inland. We'll continue to track conditions out here throughout the morning, and of course continue to show those live images from our cameras. But again, the main takeaway, try to stay off the roads. Ebeth, Curtis, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jerry. So yes, as we continue to monitor the very latest impacts across the area, we're seeing the howling wind, the pounding rain. This is a live picture from the Flagler Beach Pier, I should say.
Yeah, look at that right there. You can see the water, the waves out there. And if that is any indication of what we've been seeing right there, buckle up, everybody. We're going to be here throughout the rest of the morning to give you the very latest. You're watching Spectrum News 13.
Marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
The following portion of Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
The future of connectivity is here, where the flexibility and ease of mobile works hand in hand with the reliability, security, and speed of the internet. One unified network that moves information at unimaginable speeds and works like a shield to block threats before they ever get to you. That's powerful enough to run smart cities, yet simple enough to manage all the things that matter to you. This is Spectrum One. Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and mobile working together as one to give you more speed, more reliability, and more security. That's seamless connectivity. That's Spectrum One.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Total Gym includes everything you need to get into the best shape of your life. For every body, at any age, it works every muscle group, including your core, using your own body weight as resistance. Customers love Total Gym because it's fun, fast, and effective. Nothing delivers full body results like Total Gym. And right now you can try it risk-free and enjoy special savings too. Get on-demand workouts free shipping, and more. Call now.
It is 4:21. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Marie McCann and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick, and we're starting to see the power outages really tick up here across Central Florida due to the high winds that we have. The bullseye basically being in Brevard County right now, 380,000 38,000, I should say, without power there in Brevard County.
Either way, it's a lot.
Yes.
We have that number climbing, and it's all because of the strong winds, and those have been up to 53 miles per hour now in Orlando and Daytona Beach at 55 miles per hour. So as we go from knowing what the winds are like back to the radar, wind just one of the hazards because that rain is coming down really heavily. Plus we have the threat of flooding inland, Chris. So Clystron 13 still very active this morning.
Yeah, flood watches continue for all of Central Florida until late tonight into the day tomorrow for that chance for some heavy rain. It's not going to be the rain that we picked up from Ian, but we're looking at about 3 to 5 inches of rain with some higher amounts. Most of the rain has been along I-4 and I-95, so embedded within some of these heavier squalls, that's where we're seeing some of the strongest winds. So we're starting to see the winds pick up here along the I-4 corridor. We had a wind gust up to 60 miles per hour in Sanford, and the rain continues to kind of fill in a little bit more with some heavier downpours in DeLand, Altona, Sanford, Lake Mary, Altamont Springs, Winter Park, Orlando, and down toward the attractions, and that stretches to the east into Mims, Titusville, Merritt Island, and Port St. John. So going in and taking a look at the winds around Winter Park and Orlando, we could have wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour or a little bit higher than that. Where we've seen the strongest winds here on Clystron 13, that's a little bit farther to the south into portions of Brevard County and down into Osceola County earlier, but now with the eye of Nicole continuing to move to the north and west, the heavier wind threat will start to shift a little bit farther inland and farther to the north. So just sampling some of the winds here along the coast, it looks like some of the highest winds still right off the coast of Satellite Beach in Melbourne, and we could also have some of those stronger winds here in Osceola County around 30 to 40 miles per hour. So we've been watching the rain threat not only for some embedded gusty winds, but also what is it going to do for the areas that were hit hard by the heavy rain and the flooding along the St. Johns River Basin. And we are starting to see some changes there with the flood stages. And with more on that, let's send it back to Marie.
Yeah, we had made some progress seeing a decline in the levels along the St. Johns in recent weeks. We know it took a while to get out of major flood stage in Astor, also DeLand and Sanford, but now we are back to major flood stage along the St. Johns River near Astor. Also back on this map, the Little Wekiva River near flood stage. Those levels coming up a bit. Also back to a moderate flood level for above Lake Harney and near DeLand. When we bring in the hydrograph, again, this graphic reflects what has happened with the water. That's the blue. So there has been a steady rise since yesterday during the morning hours. And now we have made it to major flood stage, which is technically above 4 feet. The latest observation is at 4.17 feet. It's not quite record level, but it's still major flood stage. So those impacts for homes in that area who were hit so hard by Ian, those impacts are going to continue. Of course, this is just one of the hazards inland. It's not just a coastal event, but we'll be looking at the tide cycle and the threat of storm surge coming up when we check in with your weather here with the latest on now Tropical Storm Nicole coming up next.
All right, thank you so much, Maureen. Now, the storm brings wind gusts and rain pummeling the coast where Hurricane Ian hit not long before. Some places already reporting damage early this morning. We've been talking about that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check in live right now with our Ashley Mills, tracking those spots where we're hearing of the impacts. Good morning to you. So what are you following right now, Ashley?
Damage reports coming in this morning. We're talking several things from Satellite Beach, a gas station with some damage. You might imagine those strong winds really impacting structures like these. And then also in Melbourne Village, a large tree fell onto a roof of a house, according to emergency management there. But let's talk about some power outages. So Florida Power and Light, FPL, is reporting this live on their website. You can go to that and check in. We just saw a jump within the last hour. We were reporting about 22,000 outages in Brevard County. That just jumped up to nearly 39,000 outages. They're working on that as they can. Up in Volusia County, it's a little different, just several hundred reported there so far. Now, that's all updated live as soon as that information comes in. We spoke with FPL recently early this morning, and they are letting their customers know that crews are responding to those outages as they can, just urging people to remember, stay away from any downed lines.
So once those winds really drop below 35 miles an hour, that's kind of our main threshold. Our crews will be in the field actively restoring power. In the meantime, we can work behind the scenes and try to restore some power with technology and reroute power around trouble spots.
Of course, we continue to keep an eye on those outages and other damage reports as they roll in this morning. Throughout the morning, we're tracking that Tropical Storm Nicole as it continues to track over Central Florida. Live now in the control room, Ashley Mills, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much. Time for 27 right now on this Thursday morning. We're continuing to bring you the latest as we give you all the updates to now Tropical Storm Nicole.
I know it's impacted everybody's schedule. The kids are home from school. Lots of folks being told to stay home. We are with you through the overnight hours. Live pictures on your screen, I-95. Look at those light posts there swaying side to side as the sheets of rain are coming down almost a little bit sideways there. We've got more from our severe weather experts just seconds away. Stay with us. You're watching Spectrum News.
I'm David Gordon of the High Stack Law Firm, one of Florida's oldest personal injury firms. If you or a family member have been injured, call us for a free consultation anytime. We will meet with you to evaluate your claim and give you our legal opinion and analysis. There is absolutely no charge for this service. At High Stack, we put everything into getting the best results we possibly can for our clients. Think high, High Stack.
We've been spending a lot more time than ever at home these days. Maybe now you've just noticed cold air coming in from a couple windows, which means you're losing heat in the winter, losing cooling in the summer, losing money. Now is the time for new windows and patio doors from Renewal by Andersen. And right now, when you buy one window or door and get one at 40% off, plus there's no money down, no payments for 12 months, and no interest for 12 months.
1-800-203-5145.
Car repairs. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, it's when. If your vehicle is a 2001 or newer model with under 150,000 miles and currently in good running condition, this message is for you.
We wanted to protect ourselves from sky-high repair bills. That's why we got a complete car warranty.
A new engine can cost over $5,500, AC over $1,100, transmission over $4,100. Get the coverage you need at a price you can afford. Call 800-482-8309 for a free and instant protection plan quote.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app. Time right now is 4:30 in the morning. So glad you're watching Spectrum News 13. You know, the storm season is not done with us yet as we continue to feel the impacts of Nicole in the overnight hours.
Yeah, we are here with you as we get through all of this, bringing you complete coverage of the storm's impact.
Not just on the coast, but also inland counties are feeling the effects right now.
Yes, thank you so much for trusting Spectrum News 13. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Yvette Brusoil. I know there's a lot going on, and we're here to make sure that you're equipped with the latest information. And we've got some new details about the storm. It's been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm.
Yes, it sure has, and we want to go ahead and get you to our certified meteorologist who has the latest information. Maureen McCann, as well as Chris Gilson, along with Chief Meteorologist Brian Kirk, all standing by right now this morning at 4:31. Good morning, y'all.
This morning we have the latest on Nicole now as a tropical storm, as you mentioned, but it doesn't make a huge difference whether it's a tropical storm or a hurricane. Winds are still at 70 miles per hour. The impacts are still the same as it moves on shore. The latest positioning has the center about 60 miles to the southeast of Orlando. So now the focus will be shifting inland, and the winds will gradually be easing at the coast, Chris.
They will be, and we saw some of the strongest winds overnight in Brevard County, but as Nicole's center continues to move to the west and northwest, we'll likely see the winds kind of pick up around Orlando and Sanford and we've had a wind gust as high as 60 miles per hour in Sanford, so we could have some of those gustier winds here along the I-4 corridor. The good news to report is that now that it is a tropical storm and did make landfall around 3 o'clock in the morning in Indian River County, we no longer have hurricane warnings along the coast. They're tropical storm warnings area-wide, so that means that we still could have those tropical storm force winds of around 40 miles per hour or higher. And we're also going to see the heavier bands of rain continue to set up, and some of that rain starting to increase a little bit more farther to the west and over Orlando, Altamont Springs, and Winter Park.
Yeah, and along the St. Johns Basin, as we turn to Klystron 13, it's the world's most powerful television radar, and where we see the orange and the yellow, that's where the downpours are occurring. A quick look in shows the latest view. Heavy rain right over Orlando International Airport along the 417 towards Winter Springs and up by Geneva and Lake Jessup, Lake Monroe, getting some of that heavy rain. When we quickly check in on the rainfall totals, these areas in the last 3 hours, the amounts haven't been as heavy. They've been generally under an inch, but when we expand the view, you can tell the last 3 hours, the heavier rainfall was here in Brevard County, and we will continue to still add on to that. So we'll be plotting these on Klystron 13. We'll look at more storm totals and a projection of how much rain will occur with the grand totals coming up as we check in with your forecast on Nicole when we're back next.
All right, thank you both. We appreciate it. We'll see you in just a bit. Right now, we are monitoring our Will Robinson Smith. He is in Titusville.
He's been providing some of the most impactful pictures that we've seen, and as the night progresses, things are getting worse.
Definitely so, and I know he's been, you know, in the elements, seeing all of this, feeling all of it. Will, how are things going right now?
Yeah, Curtis and Beth, in the elements, but trying to do so safely, as are the rest of our field crews scattered around Central Florida. We've got the protection of a hotel wall right here, but as you can see, if Vincent can pan around while we're seeing, it's a little bit dark because the hotel, like a lot of Brevard County, has lost power, but if we keep swinging right, Vincent, you can see some of the impacts of the wind and the rain here still blowing very strongly in Brevard County. Go to some of the video that we got just recently from the city of Cocoa. This is what the situation looks like where we showed you that down tree earlier. This is Indian River Drive near Dixon and Boulevard, just to the east of US 1, that north-south thoroughfare there in Brevard County. You see some of that water intruding on the road. That is the Indian River, and someone just pushing over the wall right there. An area that typically floods around Cocoa. Fortunately, city officials tell me that they're not seeing as bad of flooding with this storm as they saw with Hurricane Ian, but the winds really providing the worst of the impacts as it's knocking out power for a lot of folks around the Space Coast, including us here, just using generator power in our top light, but doing so, of course, safely. We're going to continue to keep an eye on the situation here. For now, reporting, though, in Titusville, Will Robinson Smith, Spectrum News.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll see you in a little bit, Will, there in Brevard County.
Yes, definitely. So we want to go ahead now and send things to our Nicole Griffin, who is right now in Port Orange.
Yeah, over in Volusia County, so another coastal area. Hey, Nicole, walk us through what you're seeing right now, because over in Brevard County, things seem to be going up and down depending on how the storm is moving. Okay, we don't have her mic, but if her photographer can hear us, maybe the photographer can pan so at least we can check out the visuals and kind of walk you through what that part of Central Florida is experiencing right now. Give us a moment as we try to adjust here. But again, this part of Central Florida continues to feel the impacts, which makes sense because now that it has made landfall south of Vero Beach, now more of the, not only our coastal counties in the Central Florida area, but inland counties are seeing more of the impacts. I tell you what, let's go ahead and cut them loose so they can kind of figure things out and talk about some of the evacuations.
Yeah, let's look at that right now. Mandatory evacuations are in effect in parts of Volusia County. Speaking of Volusia County, including those living in manufactured homes east of Interstate 95 and all campsite and RV recreational parks. There's also a curfew in effect from 7 p.m. Wednesday to 7 a.m. Thursday. So some information that people need to be mindful of there. And I also want to quickly point where, since we're talking about Volusia County, power outages right now reporting 2,680 in Volusia County. So significant. From the first time I looked at it, was 400, and that was just about a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, because when the wind picks up, that's when more and more people start to lose their power. This is really interesting. Wilbur by the Sea, and that's basically the edge of those homes has just been eaten away by the storm. This was, of course, daylight images to you this before the sun went down, and it just basically highlights how vulnerable anything along the coast can be. And these people, I'm sure, are shaking their head in disbelief, thinking, my goodness, we just went through so much 6 weeks ago with Hurricane Ian, and now we've got this storm to deal with. But sadly, that is the reality for so many folks up and down the coast.
Definitely so. And we've been hearing some of those stories. One gentleman I know, Jesse, talked about, out in the Sanford area, saying, hey, we got to deal with this once again.
Yep. We're inviting people to download the Spectrum News app and continue to watch our coverage. Also, if you go to Twitter, Facebook, and our Spectrum News Instagram, we have the information so you can watch our live stream and share that with your friends and family. They can watch for free wherever they are.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that everybody gets the latest information. Again, we invite you to download the Spectrum News app, which you can download for free this morning. Okay, weather is the big story right now. And just because you think, oh, it's not a hurricane anymore, it's a tropical storm, it is still a very serious situation. Chris Gilson is coming back into the mix. Walk us through what you're seeing right now, Chris.
Some of the strongest winds along the I-4 corridor, wind gusts close to 60 miles per hour at the Orlando International Airport. We'll break down where the heavy rain is right now, where it's heading next, and we'll time it all out. We'll take you out to Interstate 4, and you can see the wind whipping that rain around. We'll break all what you need to know with Nicole with Plystron 13 in just a few moments.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Attorney Dan Newland. Billions won for accident victims.
There's never been a better time to switch to Spectrum Mobile, America's fastest growing mobile provider. Now, when you buy a Spectrum Mobile unlimited line for just $29.99, you get another unlimited line free. Spectrum Mobile delivers reliable service coast to coast with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G included. Get a Spectrum Mobile unlimited line for just $29.99 and get another unlimited line free. Call 844-897-5232. Visit SpectrumMobile.com or your local Spectrum store.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Are you unable to work full-time because of illness, accident, or disability? Did you know that Social Security Disability Insurance can give you up to just over $3,000 per month in benefits? Call now. You may be entitled to Social Security benefits. We handle all the filing for you. We've helped thousands with Social Security disability claims, and we can help you today. The best part is, you don't pay until you receive benefits. Call now to see if you qualify for pre-approval today.
Have you heard? Affordable healthcare is better than ever. And right now there are more carriers and plans to choose from. The government's Affordable Care Act is available for individual and family health coverage plans with little to no cost to you. 70% of callers qualify for a zero-cost healthcare coverage. See if you are one of them. This is not Medicaid or Medicare. This is the marketplace with the largest selection of healthcare plans from the Affordable Care Act. Call 800-745-8011.
It is 4:41 on this Thursday morning. I'm Chris Gilson with Brian Carrick and Marie McCann tracking Tropical Storm Nicole. Winds picking up here along the I-4 corridor. Those winds gusting close to 60 miles per hour in Orlando now, as we have some of the bands of heavier rain setting up along the I-4 corridor as Nicole continues to move to the west and northwest at around 14 miles per hour. So right along I-4, stretching back into western Orange County and now toward Claremont, seeing some of the heaviest activity continuing to move from the east, push to the west. Still heavy rain coming down from Mims, Titusville, Rockledge, and also Cape Canaveral. Embedded within this rain, as I mentioned, we could have some higher wind gusts, and we'll take a look at a sampling of the winds by Klystron 13, showing here in eastern Orange County along the 528 that we could have winds around 35 to maybe 45 miles per hour, maybe a little bit higher even here in southeastern Orange County toward the Rockledge area, could be closer to 50 miles per hour. So we're starting to see these stronger winds kind of move away from the I-95 corridor and work back to the west into the I-4 corridor. Most of the strongest winds during the early overnight hours were in Brevard County, a little bit closer to the center of Nicole, as Nicole made landfall there just to the south of Vero Beach. Now here's where the center is at this point. It's to the south and east of Orlando. At the 4 o'clock advisory, the center of Nicole was about 60 miles to the southeast. We'll get another update on the positioning here coming up at the top of the hour. It's not as well defined as earlier. It's losing some of its intensity now that it's moved away from the Atlantic waters and overland, so it has weakened some with the winds down to 70 miles per hour, making it a tropical storm. But still, the bands of rain setting up here, and we're seeing some of this heavy rain also into Volusia County, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Port Orange, and Edgewater. Steady stream of rain coming off the Atlantic, pushing to the west, heading toward DeLand and Altona. Also, this rain stretching up to the north in Palm Coast and Flagler Beach. Now, into the I-75 corridor, Ocala, the Villages, and Leesburg, fairly quiet, maybe a little bit of light rain. This heavier rain will continue to spread along the I-4 corridor, then back through the Florida Turnpike through Lake County and along I-75 as we go toward about mid-morning or so. So if you're not seeing the rain there back to the west, you'll likely see more as we go through the morning hours. Now, the landfall occurred at 3 o'clock in the morning, North Hutchinson Island, which is just to the south of Vero Beach. It made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour. So it's the latest landfall on the Florida East Coast on record. And as we go through the afternoon, it'll continue to move to the west and dumps heavy rain through the morning hours and likely into the early afternoon. Once we go beyond noon, you can see really it clears out pretty quickly. And outside of a few showers late in the day, we're looking a lot quieter for this evening. Likely still breezy to windy behind the storm, and those winds will start to subside a bit more as we go into Friday. So timing everything out overnight through the morning, we're basically at the peak of the storm right now. That will continue through about mid-morning. Then as we head into the afternoon, the rain and the wind, the worst weather, will start to move out of the region and push to the west and north, and then we start to clear things out as we head into your Friday. Marie McCann will join me coming up in less than 10 minutes. We'll go through some rainfall projections and also talk about that storm surge when we see you in less than 10 minutes. Beth and Curtis?
All right, thank you so much for that, Chris. And now we continue our live team coverage over in Volusia County.
Yeah, we go now to Katie Strite. She's live from South Daytona. And Katie, what are you seeing right now?
Well, we changed locations because back at just on the street, the rain was going so hard that it was actually risking our equipment getting so soaked that we wouldn't have been able to go live anymore. And not only that, but I mean, the rainfall was so painful as we were going live just in that last hour. So we are now here. We are seeing that, you know, parking lots are full. People in the Daytona Beach shore area was a lot of them evacuated here in South Daytona. In fact, a lot of these hotels have no vacancy because they are taking care of all of these folks that had to evacuate from like the Daytona Beach shores area. You can see the rain is still falling, the wind is still blowing, and you can see from the trees it really is taking that tropical storm weather into effect. And really no one is out on the roads right now because it's just pretty dangerous to be driving at this point. But we'll continue to cover anything that's happening in this area. Live in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
All right, thank you, Katie, and kudos to anyone who's a first responder
Yes,
or has to work
definitely.
at the hotels to make sure that everybody has, the proper, food and bedding whenever they get to these places, because somebody's got to get out there and work.
Somebody does, and I mean, like you said, it's not an easy task.
It's not. And if somebody's on the roads because they have to get to work or for whatever other reason, what's happening out on those wet roads? Jerry Hume has the answers right now and providing us some live pictures. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, you mentioned those first responders. They're on the scene of a brand new crash, Beth and Curtis. This is a look at Florida's Turnpike northbound here at the 429. Right here behind me, you can see the flashing lights and the camera really bobbing here in West Orange County. We got this crash. It's off on the left shoulder is what we understand. We'll take you over to the 408. We're really the Metro Orlando area now getting hit by these rain bands pretty hard in the wind, and the rain just coming down here on the 408 Alafaya Trail right now. We'll take you up to Seminole County now. This is a look here at I-4 near that big construction site with the 417 and Wekiva Parkway right now. Reports of a crash, don't see it right here, but certainly we are dealing with slick roads. Just a few vehicles out there on the roadways. Recommendation is stay off the roads. Now in Volusia County, you have to stay off. There's a curfew right now. This is International Speedway Boulevard near Clyde Morris Boulevard. We know that as the location near International Speedway, Daytona International Speedway, and yeah, it is clear right there. Let's take you down to Brevard County now. This is a look here at I-95. This is going to be in the Cocoa area near State Road 520. Yeah, no, just one vehicle right there. And you can see that we had seen some pounding rain here earlier and still coming down in certain spots, but other spots they are being given a break. We'll take you to the map right now. And yeah, our weather overlay is on right now showing us where we're getting the hardest hit weather right now for that drive out there. We also have activated our sensors in emergency situations, which tell us where the causeways are closed right now. You can see in New Smyrna Beach and up here in Daytona Beach, we've got all the causeways. They're closed. They won't reopen until FDOT can inspect them and make sure that they are structurally sound. So that could be later on today. So a waiting game for some after this storm passes by. And beach erosion still problem here in Flagler Beach on A1A. It's blocked. We'll of course continue to follow conditions and have another update coming up. Beth, Curtis, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Jerry. We continue to follow the very latest as we monitor all the impact that the storm is bringing our way.
Raise your hand if you're ready for some coffee.
Hey.
We're raising our hands. You can't, there we go. We're raising our hands, and I know that you're watching with us. So push the brew button on that machine, and we're going to be coming right back. Live pictures on your screen, I-4 by Seminole County. We've got a lot more of Nicole's impact straight ahead.
Spectrum News 13 is committed to helping today's students become tomorrow's scientists through Project Weather. Congratulations to the 2022 scholarship winners for their dedication and achievement. We are now accepting applications for the 2023 Project Weather scholarships. If you're a high school senior who excels in science, head to our website to find out how to apply. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Now, more than ever, all U.S. veterans need your help. If you have an old car, truck, or van, you can donate it today and help them. And they'll come pick it up for free. Plus, the money raised helps our nation's disabled veterans and their families. Call the number on your screen right now. Within a few days, we'll come and tow it away for free, running or not. And the proceeds greatly help U.S. veterans. So please call right now.
I just have a love of history. It really started from high school. There was a historical event that I learned about on the news that changed everything for me. I just felt like somebody was pushing me that you need to be a journalist. You're a journalist, you're a recorder of history. Here in Central Florida, people are very excited to teach you and to share. Every day it's something new. That's the beauty of being in news, which is why I've never had any other job except for this.
At
Attention Medicare beneficiaries worried about COVID-19. COVID-19 tests are now covered by Medicare Part B. It's true. That's right. Just call the number on your screen and Achieve DX will ship you your rapid COVID test at no cost straight to your home. These easy-to-use FDA EUA authorized tests will give you results in 15 minutes. Even if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you can have these tests delivered to your home at no cost to you, and the shipping is free.
Call 1-800-649-3957. That's 1-800-649-3957. Call now.
Continue with our coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole early on this Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Marie McCann and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick, all tracking the very latest. Getting a lot of storm reports coming in, mostly in the form of the gusty winds, the high winds that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and we're compiling those lists. Still looks like the highest number we've seen has been in Melbourne, the airport, 73 miles per hour. We'll get new information on the positioning and wind speeds at the top of the hour. So 70 miles per hour at last check, with the positioning around 60 miles to the southeast of Orlando. But Chris is going to go over the radar in a moment to show you where those impacts will be greatest in terms of rain and gusty squalls inland. The water levels are quite high along our east coast. Plotting some of these here with Clystron 13, we're seeing those between 12 and 14 feet. So storm surge is still projected to be 3 to 5 or 6 feet or higher, with some of the surge that will come in with the next tide cycle. So this is one of our greatest concerns. We saw what happened yesterday when the storm was at a distance from us. So we've already had our first low tide of the day that occurred during the 2 o'clock hour. So you're looking at the tides going forward. Daytona Beach and Cocoa Beach, that's going to be after 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 a.m. That's your next high tide cycle. And then we will see another one tonight. But I suspect some of that damage is going to be ongoing, with coastal erosion and flooding and just water where it shouldn't be because of that steady push of wind around low pressure. And of course, it's not just the wind, it's not just the coastal hazards, but it's the inland threat too. Clystron 13 quite active at this time, and Chris has the latest on rainfall that's occurring now and what's to come.
Yeah, and it's not going to take much after what we went through with Ian to cause a lot of problems, and that's kind of what we saw yesterday with the wind and the storm surge along the coast. And now with more rain working inland, we're going to be watching the St. Johns River Basin, as we've seen it come up a bit today or during the overnight hours, and that will likely be the case through the rest of the morning as more rain continues to fall. But it's not going to be the rain amounts that we saw with Ian. The steadier rain setting up along the I-4 corridor here in Volusia County and Seminole County, stretching into Orange County, right over Orlando. We're seeing some of the heaviest activity. This is moving to the west, so if you're in places like Leesburg and Claremont, the rain will continue to kind of increase in intensity. And then as we walk you a little bit farther to the south here into Kissimmee, Lakeland, down along the I-4 corridor through Polk County, seeing that steady stream of rain, and still quite a bit of rain coming down into Titusville, Rockledge, and Satellite Beach. Now in Mico, down toward Vero Beach, quieter because you're basically in the center of Nicole right now, but this is going to continue to lift to the west and northwest, but we still could see more rain kind of fill in on the southern side of the storm as it continues to move to the north. So while you have a little bit of a break in portions of Osceola County, southern Brevard County, we could see the rain kind of fill in a bit more as the storm lifts to the north. If you're in Ocala, Wildwood, and the Villages, the rain right now is not intense, but as we go toward probably the 6-7 o'clock time frame, you'll see some of the heavier activity there back into the I-75 corridor. Here's a look at how much rain we're expecting through the remainder of the day today, and you can kind of see how it favors areas to the north and west of I-4 as we go through this afternoon into tomorrow morning. Areas back to the north as the storm lifts north, that's where we could see the heaviest rainfall totals. But so far we've seen 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in Brevard County. We'll likely tack on to those totals, and then we'll see more of that rain kind of accumulate here along the I-4 corridor over the next hour or two. So once we get through the morning hours into the afternoon, we'll start to see conditions gradually improve, and then overnight tonight into Friday, outside of some lingering showers and some breezy conditions, it will be a lot better once we get into the weekend. We'll get another update on the latest positioning of Nicole, its intensity coming up here likely at the top of the hour.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate that. We'll see you in just a bit. In Volusia County, we are currently tracking what was Hurricane Nicole, now Tropical Storm Nicole. Katie Streit is live from South Daytona. And Katie, we know we've talked to you several times now. What are you seeing at this point in time there in that area?
Well, the rain is picking up right now. As you can see, it is definitely hitting my face, and the wind, of course, is continuing to have that gusty type feel as well. And I want to actually show you the parking lot is full because a lot of the people that had to evacuate at Daytona Shores, Daytona Beach Shores, I should say, actually came here to South Daytona to seek shelter and seek safety, really. But even in the South Daytona area, you can see the rain is still falling, and even the trees, are blowing in the wind. So definitely not a safe and secure area to be outside. So hopefully, if you are watching this, you are going to be inside and safe and sound. So we'll continue to give you guys updates as they arise. Live in Daytona Beach, Katie Streit, Spectrum News.
All right, thank you so much, Katie. We appreciate you. And we've got much more coverage coming up as we continue to bring you the very latest as this tropical storm moves throughout Central Florida. You are watching Spectrum News 13, and you can always download the free Spectrum News app for continuing coverage. We will be right back. Again, you're
Say hello to a smarter cat litter. Pretty Litter's silica crystals absorb odor to eliminate it. Color-changing technology lets you know when your cat might be having health issues, and it's 99% dust-free. Go to prettylitter.com to try the world's smartest cat litter today.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Where? Bears.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. That's when I found this, the Brux Night Guard. Now the Brux Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brux Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Go to bruxnightguard.com and order yours today.
Imagine a knife taking this much abuse and didn't need sharpening. Introducing the incredible NutriBlade knives, coated with granite stone non-stick and made of stainless steel, one of the hardest substances on Earth. Now everyone can chop, slice, and dice just like a pro. Order right now to get this professional 6-piece set of NutriBlades for just $29.95. We'll even ship them to you free. Get your own NutriBlade knives, the last knives you'll ever buy.
I'm not a cat lady. I'm a cat goddess. Thanks to Pretty Litter, it's ultra light and odor absorbing. Plus, it changes color to monitor my cat's health. Pretty Litter tells you what your cat can't. Go to prettylitter.com.
Spectrum News app. Your morning news presented by your Central Florida Acura dealers. Exhilaration comes standard.
The what?
Brian Harris. All right, time now 5 o'clock on this Thursday morning as we bring you the latest as we continue to follow Tropical Storm Nicole.
The winds, the rain, that's being felt right now across Central Florida, not only in the coastal counties, but also the inland counties now. As we continue to watch what happens in our neck of the woods, we've got team coverage with our reporters fanned out across the Central Florida area.
Thank you so much for trusting Spectrum News 13. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Ebeth Broussard. We're live at 5 this morning, have been live for hours, and now we want to bring in our team of certified meteorologists, being led by our chief meteorologist, Brian Carrick. Maureen McCann is right there, and so is Chris Gilson. So walk us through what it means now that this thing is a tropical storm.
Well, Beth and Curtis, we're still seeing some pretty big impacts, although not as great as when it is a hurricane. And Chris, this hurricane making landfall very early this morning.
Yeah, it was around 3 o'clock when Nicole made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour. It was in Indian River County, south of Vero Beach at North Hutchinson Island when it made landfall. And obviously this is a very rare event for this late in the season in November. So it's the latest calendar year hurricane to make landfall on the east coast of Florida on record. First hurricane landfall on the east coast of Florida and first season with 2 Florida landfalls since 2005. So it's been quite some time since we've had 2 impacts, and plus it was a short period of time, going just 42 days in between Ian and Nicole.
Which is why, looking at Klystron 13 this morning, we are finding rain over some of those areas hard hit by Ian. Now that the focus is shifting inland, the thing is that this is moving, so while you may experience some downpours, some gusty squalls right now along and north of the I-4 corridor, pausing this to give you the latest view anywhere from Disney World and Windermere up towards Ocoee and Pine Hills and Orla Vista and the direction of Winter Springs and the 417 Geneva and into Volusia County. So these bands still spiraling on shore. Yes, they are weakening some, but we don't want to let our guard down because the impacts are still going to be there for localized flooding, strong winds, and still that low-end tornado threat. But thankfully, Brian, we have not seen much concern with that so far.
That's right, Nebeth and Curtis. We are also keeping an eye on local rivers. We'll have the hydrograph for at least one of those rivers, maybe a couple of them coming up as they have started climbing slowly once again, and that will be a concern here the next few days.
Well, Brian, we appreciate it, and we know that you guys will keep us well informed on that. A lot of people's mind on those flooding.
Yes, and on Klystron 13, we just saw moments ago, Brevard County. So let's focus on that area right now.
Yes.
In Titusville is our Will Robinson-Smith, and we've been checking in with you for hours now. You're giving us a sense of what you're seeing there, but also what's across the water from you at the Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah, good morning. Let's start here in Titusville on this side of the river. We just had a crew at the Courtyard by Marriott. They just left. It was a tree cutting service from Evergreen, Alabama. Just one of the many response teams that's on the ground here on the Space Coast, getting ready to help however they can, as we obviously have down power lines, down trees like the one we showed you in Cocoa just a little while ago. And pan off to the right, my photographer Vincent here, you can see FPL's emergency response team also out here. And just to the right of that car, you can see the wind still doing a number here on the Space Coast. A lot of wind and rain still whipping around Brevard County. And Beth, as you mentioned, across the river there is the rocket for the Artemis 1 mission, the Space Launch System rocket. Want to clarify one of the points we made earlier in the morning, that the gust that we saw of 89 miles per hour was up on one of the towers that's near the rocket, not at the ground surface level. So working to get more information from the National Weather Service on exactly what sort of impacts that may mean for Artemis. Of course, the teams at Kennedy Space Center keeping a very close eye on that, and as are we. But across the county, we're keeping a track of the wind that's really just doing a number here, and the response teams are going out, but they can only do so much. You can't go too high up when the winds are this strong. It's not that safe, but teams are getting in place to be able to respond as soon as it is safe to do so, to restore power to the tens of thousands of people that are without it at this time. For now, reporting live here in Titusville, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
Thank you, Will. And we see the wall of that hotel that's giving him protection, right? But just over his shoulder, it is just the relentless wind that's thrashing those palm trees behind him.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. You can see it in the palm trees. They're pretty impressive pictures to see that those palm trees just swaying in the wind and rain there.
Okay, so from Brevard County, let's go a little bit more inland, but still near a body of water, and that would be over in Seminole County.
Yeah, over to Seminole County now, where we find our Jesse Canales.
Yeah, we're going to get to Jesse in just a moment. Things are fluid because now the conditions are really ramping up, so our crews are trying to figure things out. I tell you what, let's pause and pivot and check in with Jerry Hume.
Yeah, Jerry's monitoring the roads for us this morning. Jerry, how are things looking?
Yeah, and I've been watching our cameras, trying to find the latest incidents and what we can see out there. We are still tracking a crash for you here, Florida's Turnpike. This is going to be near the 408. Still watching this crash. The rain is coming down. These first responders, they are out there responding to this crash right now, which is blocking the left and right shoulders right now. We also have seen it just come down in buckets here on the 408. This is near Alafaya Trail. So the Metro Orlando area really getting hit hard for that commute. We'll take you up to downtown Orlando right now. This is a look here at I-4, our view near Colonial Drive. And yeah, the rain is coming down. No one on the roads except for, well, just a few people. And you want to stay home right now because we're dealing with those slick conditions and you don't want to be involved in any kind of incidents, which we are watching out there. Still taking over the coast right now. This camera is just rattling right now with that wind and the rain. This is International Speedway Boulevard at Clyde Morris Boulevard in Daytona Beach, right there near Daytona International Speedway. We've also seen this camera kind of rocking and rolling a little earlier. You can see it's kind of settled down here. This is I-95 here near I-4. We just got information from Flagler County Emergency Management. They're asking folks to stay off of A1A. All that beach erosion has really impacted the roadway, and you don't want any more cars on segments that are open because it just adds more pressure to A1A. Officially right now, A1A is blocked here between 18th Street and 10th Street. We also know it's blocked near the county line with St. Johns County, so try to avoid that. What you also have to avoid are the causeways. They're blocked here in Volusia County. This is New Smyrna Beach. Our sensors and indicators showing us the causeways that are blocked there. Also here in Volusia County, all of these causeways are blocked. They won't reopen until after FDOT can inspect those causeways, those bridges, after the storm has passed. So it could be some time and waiting for people. Now, down in Brevard County, they never close the causeways before or during a storm. They want to give residents every chance they can to leave the barrier island. But they will close these causeways once the storm passes by so that FDOT can inspect those bridges as well to make sure they're structurally sound. So we'll continue to follow everything here on the roadways. Best recommendation, though, right now is to stay off them if you can. Beth Curtis, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jerry, for providing that new information and the live pictures. We'll continue to be with you, of course, as we are feeling the impacts across the area, not only on the coastal counties, but also inland.
Definitely so. We have weather updates every 10 minutes with your weather on the ones, of course, here on Spectrum News 13. And now, the certified meteorologist Marie McCann joining us. Hey, Mo.
Good morning. A very busy scene on Clystron 13 as the bands from Nicole spiral inland. We'll take you on a tour of Clystron 13. I'll show you where the rain is heaviest right now and where those bands are going. Coming up next with your forecast as we continue to monitor Tropical Storm Nicole.
Local Forecast is brought to you by Parish Healthcare, healing patients, healing families, healing communities. Parish Healthcare, where the art of healing comes to life.
Two things you can always count on with hurricane season. Every hurricane is different.
Clystron 13 actually able to pick up on those outer rain bands.
And the Spectrum News 13 weather experts will always keep you ahead of the storm.
We are monitoring 2 disturbances in the Atlantic.
Tracking storms coast to coast with the fastest and most detailed information, plus the context you need to be prepared. The weather experts only on Spectrum News 13, keeping you safe this hurricane season on your television and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
It's our year-end blowout sale at all 4 of Gary Yeoman's Ford's locations and both Gary Yeoman's Lincoln locations. All of our Ford and Lincoln certified pre-owned vehicles have been priced with year-end blowout savings. Massive selection with incentives that are as good or better than brand new. And no interest for 3 years. You'll be saying CP, oh my goodness, and no payments till February. CP, oh yeah. Hey, don't wait, go visit GoYeomans.com and figure out why Florida says. Go Yeomans!
I just kind of got in that routine, just going to work, sitting behind a desk.
Spending too much time on the couch, moving too slow in life.
I knew I had to make a lifestyle change, so I tried Nugenix.
Transformation was pretty awesome.
To get your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, text PLAY to 369-369. This man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help increase testosterone levels, to help you feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive. That's PLAY. to 369-369.
This season, it's the perfect time to catch a great deal at your Central Florida Acura dealers. Now, go the distance in the new 2022 Acura MDX, loaded with the premium features you really want. For fierce style and agility, put the 2022 Acura TLX to the test. And check out the next-gen 2023 Acura Integra for an unforgettable driving experience. Don't let these great catches pass you by. So catch a great deal at your Central Florida Acura dealers today.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Bears Furniture. The best brands at the lowest prices guaranteed in our local Bears showroom or online at bears.com.
Here we are at 5:11. Meteorologist Maureen McCann here alongside Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Chris Gilson as they continue to monitor what's happening with Nicole. Here in the Weather Center, I'm going to take you on a tour of Clystron 13 coming up to show you where that rain is heaviest. Let's go outside right now, though, to Flagler Beach. We have some live images coming to us from there. We saw some reports yesterday coming in that there was additional damage to the Flagler Beach pier. So as we see how the camera pans, those water levels running quite high. Coastal erosion, a big threat with the next tide cycles coming up this morning. And of course, we'll get better images once the sun comes up, and that'll be around 6:40 this morning. If you're just waking up, if it was noisy outside and you heard the rain, the wind, Nicole no longer a hurricane. It's a tropical storm, and it's moving to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. The eye moved over Indian River County and southern Brevard County, and right now we can still see it intact on Clystron 13. So places like Melbourne, Palm Bay, Temecula, Malabar, and Yeehaw Junction, the winds easing a little bit there, the rain letting up, but don't forget on the back edge, you're still going to get those gusty winds, so it's not over yet. Right now, the heaviest rain is focused inland as we see those yellows and oranges start to tick up the rainfall intensity for East Orange County along the beach line and for areas to the west of I-4. We go in for a closer look at the rainfall rates. This would be if the rain was stationary over the same areas. This is how much rain would occur. These are nothing like what we saw during Ian. During Ian, we were seeing those rainfall rates 5 to 6, 7 inches an hour, which was just very intense. Right now, these are around 1 to 2 inches an hour, which is still very heavy rain on top of an already saturated ground, which is why we need to be on guard for flooding. There is still a flood watch posted area-wide. But when we look back on the last 12 hours as rainfall started to pick up along the Brevard County coast, that's where totals were a little bit higher. They're within the range of about 2 to 4 inches, though. Some locally higher amounts are still going to be expected, but now the focus for heavy rain will be shifting inland. So will the threat of those gusty squalls. I've plotted some wind speeds here, sampled from Clystron 13. Remember, this is above the ground, so oftentimes these winds can mix down to the surface out by Wedgefield to the south of the beach line, picking up on a 64 mile per hour wind gust. We've also seen those tropical storm strength near the UCF campus and Avalon Park, 40 to 48 miles per hour. Another graphic I want to show you is how we're looking for some small areas of spin in the atmosphere to see if there's any rotation that could lead to an isolated tornado. While that threat is low, it's still there for an isolated tornado. Seen a few pockets on this graphic over Volusia County and Seminole County. It's really faint, but we look for these pockets of brighter green and yellow, but you can tell there really isn't much. So that is good news. So it's wind-driven rain moving across the I-4 corridor. This is the system at its peak for Seminole, Orange, northern Osceola, and northern Brevard County. Volusia County still going to watch these bands coming on shore. So that is going to be our primary concern with additional rain, plus additional rain along the St. Johns Basin, where we're now to major flood stage for the St. Johns River near Astor. The hydrograph reflects how we've seen that water level rise. Now we're going forward and staying in major flood stage for a few days. So that's the latest on the inland flooding. Coming up, we'll be looking at those county by county impacts with your forecast and your weather on the ones. And of course, we'll see the timing on when this all moves out and things start to improve. Beth, Curtis?
All right, thank you so much, Maureen. Time right now is 5:15 in the morning.
It sure is, and we are still tracking Nicole in Lakeland right now.
Yeah, on the other side of I-4, Jason Lanning is joining us live now, joining us for our live team coverage. So, Jason, hello to you. Walk us through the conditions you're seeing there right now, my friend.
Well, so far, Lakeland's looking pretty good, Curtis and Beth. We can tell you a weather station about a few miles to our west toward Tampa reporting wind gusts at 24 miles an hour. So not all too bad at this point. We have seen about an inch of rainfall since we saw the outer bands of Nicole move into the central part of Florida. So, of course, the rainfall with this system and the potential for some localized pockets of flooding, we will be watching throughout the day. I want to take you into the neighborhoods of Lakeland overnight as the rain bands from Nicole move in. And the big question you have to ask yourself today, is it too early for a Christmas tree or too late for a tropical system? Regardless of how you answer, all of us can agree right now, it's a weird day here in Florida with this November landfalling hurricane, now tropical storm. We had a chance to talk with Tiffany Harrison, a resident here in Lakeland, who told us about what she and her husband experienced overnight as Nicole moved in.
Basically, like, the lights were flickering on and off, and then after that, it was just like, it just like blew. Like, you just see one go, and then next thing you know, you see another one go. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Right, not good, because as the lights flicker, you have to wonder if the lights will stay on. So far, so good. Only about 300 power outages reported here in Polk County. One thing to keep in mind, though, although this was a minimal hurricane at landfall and now a tropical storm, that's not going to cause catastrophic damage. But here in Polk County and Lakeland specifically, crews have been struggling to get all of the debris cleaned up from Hurricane Ian. That's the kind of lightweight debris piled up that will blow around as the wind gusts increase today. So keep that in mind as you're headed out. But again, so far, so good. No damage reports here out of Polk County and no localized flooding. We're keeping our fingers crossed that remains the case here throughout the next 8 hours or so as we will see impacts from Tropical Storm Nicole. We're live in Lakeland this morning. Jason Lanning, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Jason, thank you so much. And like you said, some good news to report this morning. No debris or anything like that so far.
So far in that part of Central Florida. But we saw the wet roads behind Jason Lanning over in Lakeland. Let's get back closer to this side of I-4. Jerry Hume, we see the rain really coming down hard. Where is that from?
Yeah, this is the beach line right now. I've been listening to Maureen and our other meteorologists about where we're seeing the impacts. And 528 here in East Orange County, really getting it right now. This is a look here very close to Innovation Way and Sunbridge Parkway. That rain coming down there on the 528. The good news, we're not seeing any vehicles on the beach line right now, and that is what we want. We want people to stay home and stay safe out there. We'll take you over to I-4, Metro Orlando area, really getting hit. This is a look here at I-4, and that's the westbound ramp to I-4 from 46. And you see that vehicle going in there right there, that little ditch there. If you remember with Ian 6 weeks ago, this is the spot where cars got stuck with the flooded rain. Of course, we don't have that rain situation right now, but obviously that's a spot we want to watch right there, and the camera really shaking out there. We're still watching conditions over in Volusia County and on the coast. This is a look here at I-95 near International Speedway Boulevard. This camera also shaking out here, and we have slick road conditions. We've got another check with the latest on Nicole coming up here in just a moment. You're watching Spectrum News 13. We're back after this.
Spectrum News 13's marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
This sponsorship is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan.
For the people.
The future of connectivity is here, where the flexibility and ease of mobile works hand in hand with the reliability, security, and speed of the internet. One unified network that moves information at unimaginable speeds and works like a shield to block threats before they ever get to you. That's powerful enough to run smart cities, yet simple enough to manage all the things that matter to you. This is Spectrum One. Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and mobile working together as one to give you more speed, more reliability, and more security. That's seamless connectivity. That's Spectrum One.
When you or a loved one is involved in a car crash, you deserve straight answers. You deserve to have your rights protected, not your image used.
You deserve to have your car fixed. You deserve to have medical bills and wages paid. You deserve money for your pain and suffering.
You deserve experienced attorneys. At First Choice Law, we will protect your rights and privacy and work to get winning results without others knowing your business.
In a car or truck crash, make the right choice. Call First Choice Law.
When a storm comes through, I talk to my son and my daughter and I say, listen, Dad's going to be away. And they understand that. They understand Dad's going to help other people.
What are we trying to do for the people is give them a lot of hope. They're seeing their neighborhoods coming on.
We're not done until everybody's power is restored. For my younger daughter, you know, it's tough. I hope that she goes back one day and says, you know what, Dad did what he could for the community and this made a difference.
When people need our help,
we answer the call.
Your Health is brought to you by Melbourne Terrace Rehabilitation Center, helping you get back to you.
It is 5:21. We continue to track Tropical Storm Nicole as it moves across central Florida. No longer a hurricane, still has winds of 70 miles per hour. We'll get another update later on this morning, but we're starting to see the winds really pick up along I-4. We had wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour in Sanford, and now latest wind gusts up to 63 in Orlando.
Yeah, Brian was just relaying that to us. He's looking at some of those wind speeds, and with it still being a tropical storm, we have those gusty winds pushing inland, even though the winds may be letting up a little bit for parts of Brevard and Osceola counties. As we head over to Clystron 13, we'll be able to see where some of that heaviest rain is located here for the localized totals that may be climbing over 2 to 4 inches or more in Orange and in Seminole and parts of Lake counties now and Volusia County. Brevard County, I'll start here as I take a tour of the world's most powerful television radar. The rain has eased, the wind speeds likely easing for places like West Melbourne and Palm Bay. Mico, some rain starting to come up from the south now, so a sign that you are on the back edge of the storm as it moves into central Florida. So things are going to gradually improve there, but still not done with the tropical storm concerns yet. We remain under a tropical storm warning area-wide. It's Orange County where we have these bands of rain that are spiraling in, the orange and yellows representing where we have the heaviest rainfall. We've seen these rainfall rates around 1 to 2 inches an hour, but this is on the move. So while you may get a downpour, it won't last very long because then it's going to be shifting off to the west. So that's what's happening with the rainfall right now. As we see what's happening going forward with the futurecast, you can tell how the storm is going to quickly exit to the northwest, essentially moving along or near Florida's Turnpike. But Marion, Northern Lake Sumter counties, the rain ends for you last. So still tropical storm conditions into early afternoon. Tonight we'll be on the back edge of the storm, or the storm will be exiting our area, but we'll still have that wraparound effect of a few more showers, and the winds could still be elevated. It's still going to be gusty. I know Chris is going to be taking a look at that with the futurecast with respect to winds.
Windy out there right now for areas along I-4 and points to the east. And as we walk you through here on futurecast, so if we go back into the maps and we'll take a look at the wind gust forecast here, and you can see here as we go through the day today, we're going to have the strongest winds likely area wide between now and about mid-morning. Wind gusts of 35 to 40 miles per hour as we take a look at how the camera is bouncing around there in Seminole County, and we could have those winds lasting a little bit longer for areas to the north and west in places like Ocala, as Maureen was pointing out there. Sumter and Marion counties, you'll likely see the worst conditions late in the morning into the early afternoon, and then as we go into the overnight into Friday, the winds come down, but they're still going to be pretty noticeable with wind gusts around 20 to 30 miles per hour area wide, maybe a little bit higher, a little bit farther to the north during the day on Friday. So it's really between now and about mid-morning that we'll see the highest wind gust area wide, and then we'll start to see the conditions gradually improve as we head into the evening and overnight hours. We'll break down the latest on Nicole. We'll have more information on Nicole and the impacts here coming up in the next half hour. So let's send it back over to Curtis and Beth.
Yeah, those wind speeds, nothing to joke about. A lot of people, that's why they were being told to stay off the roads. It's just not safe.
Not safe at all, especially like you said, with those wind speeds out there like that.
We have checked in with our reporters on the coastal counties, inlands, and now we've got Ashley Mills gathering more information for us this morning to see what's happening when it comes to power outages and anything else that you have found this morning. Hey, Ashley.
Hey there, good morning to you. We do continue to monitor these conditions as FPL continues to update its live grid online showing those outages. It looks like Brevard County still has the bulk of those outages. We're talking tens of thousands. They updated it just recently within the hour, about 58,000. That video you're seeing also from Brevard County, that was from a viewer, Josh Reinhardt, sent from Port Canaveral. Some scary images as it looks like damage to those power lines, and crews remind everyone to just stay away from any downed power lines. They can be very dangerous. They are standing by to start restoring the power whenever it is deemed safe to do so. Take a listen.
We've got a small army. We've got 13,000 men and women ready to go. What we do before the storm is pre-position them so that once the weather is clear, they are close to where we think the damage is going to be. We don't want our crews to spend their time driving after the storm. We want them where they need to be, restoring power right away. So we've got those crews dispersed throughout the entire east coast of Florida, and they'll be ready to jump into action as soon as the weather is safe for them.
And we will continue to track those outages and any damage reports from the storm as it continues to impact the coast and across Central Florida. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Ashley, for that updated information. And she showed some of that video of the transformer. That's something that we've seen, sadly, many times before with other hurricanes. When that wind starts to whip up, things get crazy.
It just goes from one extreme to the other, you know, and we want to go ahead and show you this right here, this new video out of Melbourne showing what appears to be, like we were just talking about, Beth, a transformer explosion in the distance. You see it there, that flash from this coming from viewer Aaron Miller, who sent this to us earlier in the morning here. You can see the sky lighting up over those trees there now, according to Florida Power and Light. Well, let's take a look at it, see if I can pull it up here. We were talking over 30,000 power outages. That's just in the Brevard County area right now alone. Let me make sure I have that accurate. Yeah, that's what we were seeing there in Brevard County. Up to 53,000 power outages now.
Here's the deal. For comparison, at 3 a.m., you know how much that was? 21,000.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay, we invite you to download the Spectrum News app. We know that you've got a lot going on. So if you have to step away, you can get all you need to know about this storm on the Spectrum News app, which you can download for free this morning.
All right, now you want to keep it here on Spectrum News 13. We will be here along with you all morning long as we continue to bring you the latest updates on Nicole's impact across the state.
At the very bottom of your screen, constantly updated information. I tell you what, grab some coffee, stay with us. We'll be right back with more on the forecast with our severe weather experts.
Attractions Insider, a weekly Spectrum News podcast with the inside scoop on your favorite Florida attractions. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
John Surf Shop.
Open daily in Cocoa Beach.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct. Brand new Whirlpool convection air fry range. In the box. 12 payments, $63 per month. 0 down, 0 interest. 12 payments, $63 per month. 0 down, 0 interest. Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
I wanted to be a meteorologist to follow in my dad's footsteps. He's not only a meteorologist, but he's also driven me to do a little more. I'd add more to my plate, like baking, because I like the challenge. Here at Spectrum News 13, we're constantly furthering our education. I decided to get my master's in emergency management in order to bring the best forecast to our viewers and prepare them. I'm constantly trying to get better. It's definitely rewarding. I'm meteorologist Mallory Nichols, Spectrum News 13.
Car repairs. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, it's when. If your vehicle is a 2001 or newer model with under 150,000 miles and currently in good running condition, this message is for you.
We wanted to protect ourselves from Sky High repair bills. That's why we got a complete car warranty.
A new engine can cost over $5,500, AC over $1,100, transmission over $4,100. Get the coverage you need at a price you can afford. Call 800-482-8309 for a free and instant protection plan quote.
Your morning news presented by your Central Florida Acura dealers. Exhilaration comes standard.
Time right now is 5:30 in the overnight hours. So glad you're here on Spectrum News 13. Nicole is making its way, being felt across Central Florida right now.
Yes, and we've got team coverage for you to give you complete coverage of the storm's impact.
We've been going live for hours, bringing you our teams of reporters and photographers providing pictures like that. We want to show you what's happening right now.
Yes, we sure do. We want to make sure that you are prepared and not scared this morning. Thank you for trusting Spectrum News 13. I'm Curtis McLeod.
And I'm Ibeth Brusual. Okay, we're going to get to our reporters in a moment. First, let's bring in our severe weather experts right now. We've got our chief meteorologist, Brian Carrick. Maureen McCann is here as well. And, Chris Gilson is here as well. Hey, it's not overtime. It's an opportunity to shine and give our viewers the very latest info.
That's right. You know, Ibeth and Curtis, news had its Super Bowl with the election the other night. Now a Super Bowl for weather in that we are dealing with Hurricane Nicole, now Tropical Storm Nicole. And I believe we're going to take a quick camera shot from Seminole County and to show you the wind gusts that are starting to come up. Notice we are really seeing that camera bounce around as we take a look back in the distance, the visibility coming down in the driving rain. We'll be checking in with Alan Harris up in Seminole County in just a minute. But Chris, winds are cranking up out there this morning.
Yeah, they were primarily focused, at least the stronger winds in Brevard County earlier, but now we're seeing that along the I-4 corridor with Sanford, a wind gust of 60 miles per hour earlier. Orlando International, 63 mile per hour wind gust. The highest was at the Melbourne airport of 73 miles per hour. Here's a look at the gusts that we have at this point. 60 miles per hour still in Orlando, up to 52 in Sanford, so you can understand why the camera was bouncing around there. 62 mile per hour wind gusts at the airport in Daytona, and still over 50 miles per hour in Melbourne. And with all the high winds, that's creating other issues in the form of power outages, Maureen.
Yeah, we've been seeing these numbers climb. Brevard County now up to 52,000 estimated customers without power. Orange County, that's 10,000, 1,500 in Osceola County, and about 6,500 in Volusia County. So it's not just a coastal event, it's something that's going to impact us inland, especially with these bands of rain that are continuing this morning, these gusty squalls that are pushing across the I-4 corridor. Although things have started to ease a little bit in southern Brevard County with the eye moving over, we are not done yet. We have tropical storm warnings still posted area-wide.
And we're going to keep this going through the morning hours. The good news is that Beth and Curtis, Nicole will pull away fairly quickly tonight with improving conditions fairly fast. And right now, just a quick sneak peek, our weekend is looking really darn nice.
I like that. Darn nice.
I'm telling you.
Put that on the banner.
Put it there right now. I'm telling you. Looking forward to it, Brian. Thank you for giving us some hope here.
You know, our reporters are stationed across different parts of the state right now because it really depends on where you are, coastal or inland. Things are it's a mixed bag, really, of what we're seeing right now.
Definitely so. It definitely is a mixed bag. And, of course, we want to go ahead and bring in our next reporter here at this point in time.
Yeah, Nick Popham is joining us live from Flagler County. Hello to you, Nick. You've covered so many hurricanes. I've watched you. Now here you are once again. What's happening in Flagler County right now?
Good morning. We are over here at Flagler Beach, and as you can see behind me, we have some caution tape over here at the pier. This pier obviously affected by Hurricane Ian, and of course Nicole not doing it any favors as we've been seeing the wind really gust through this area and continuing to do so throughout this morning. And from what we've seen, it's only going to get worse in this area where we are in Flagler County. There was a car that pulled up rather recently and had its high beams on, and we were able to actually see some of the waves before the sun's even gone up. And man, the sweat well is just intense. Some of those waves that are crashing onto the shoreline here. Thankfully, still a decent ways away from the walkway where we are, which is again just right by the beach. But we'll continue to monitor this area and see what happens as the wind picks up, because right now we're seeing a little bit of rain, but not as significant as what we were seeing on the ride over here from where our hotel is. It continues to be rather calm, if you could call it calm, in the midst of this massive storm that's taking place, this tropical storm rather. So again, we'll continue to monitor what's taking place here at Flagler County, give you the very latest as it becomes available. But for now, reporting live at Flagler Beach, I'm Nick Popham. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you so much. And you see Nick right there by the pier, and then on the right-hand side, the live pictures of the actual pier, and it's quite the contrast because those waves are just punishing on those pillars.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind here, this thing was damaged in Hurricane Ian just a month ago.
Yeah, and the pilings are just, you know, being hammered right now. So again, Nick Popham reporting live. We'll be checking in with him in just a little bit. So from Flagler County, let's talk about what's happening a little bit more inland over in Seminole County.
Yeah, shall we do that? Now, we want to go ahead and bring in Mr. Alan Harris, of course, with emergency management out there in Seminole County. You know, we see him everywhere. We see him running a mile a minute, making sure that we have the information we need. Good morning to you, sir. We appreciate you joining us here on Spectrum News 13 this morning. Can you tell us exactly where things stand as far as you all? I know it's early yet, but have you guys started, you know, mobilizing teams to get out there and kind of assess what we're seeing so far?
Yeah, we started to feel a little bit of the impact as it gets closer to us. Quite a few trees down. We've got some power lines down in roadways, so a couple of roads are closed now. Water on the roadway as well. We already had, of course, water on the roadway, believe it or not, from Hurricane Ian. That was just starting to go away along the St. Johns River in some areas, and unfortunately, this is just going to compound that. And then some localized flooding as well. So we've had quite a few traffic crashes this morning, so we're asking people, if you have to get out, please don't. If you don't have to get out, but if you have to get out, please drive carefully. Traffic signals, some traffic signals are out now. We have a little over right at 4,500 customers without power, so some of those will be traffic signals. And be very, very careful as you're driving around. Already quite a few accidents today. We'd like to prevent that here in Seminole County. We've had some minor damage already reported to us, a couple roof structures, things like that. So we're watching that real closely. Storm's not even quite here yet, so we haven't seen the worst of it, but we're certainly starting to feel the effects.
Alan, can you share any information with us from the Lake Monroe area? I was out there a few hours ago. I know that down the road is the hospital. A little bit further down is the St. John Steak and Seafood Restaurant, and then that assisted living facility next door to that. Any concerns in that part of Sanford at all?
So the water's going to have to rise quite a bit to be at where we were before when we had to close down Wekiva Island. I don't think that we're going to get there. None of the models at this point show that. So, and that's also a slow rise. So what we're seeing right now is the Little Wekiva, Gee Creek, Howell Creek, the big Econ rivers. Those are starting to swell. That's going to take a little while to get to the St. John. So it's very confusing often for people to understand that once this is passed by, it's 3 or 4 days before we start to see the effects on St. John's. Then over the weekend, or actually early into next week, that's when we're going to start to flood on the St. John's River. So we are starting to see some localized flooding, so we know eventually it's going to go there. I just pulled up one of the rain models. It looks like most of the rain from this event in the Central Florida area has been centered right over Volusia and Seminole County. That's not what we wanted. We didn't want it anywhere, but certainly we did not want it over the St. Johns River Basin. For us, for Volusia, and for Lake County, they've got some concerns up in Astor. Of course, we've got concerns here in Sanford and Lake Harney. So just not really good where the rain has fallen so far.
How does this new storm and these conditions hamper your cleanup efforts? Because I often go to Seminole County. I don't live there. I live in Orange County, but I go into Seminole to take my son to school, which there's no school right now. And I see this huge field where all the different trucks are coming in with the debris that's being picked up in so many residential areas. So how does this storm slow down that process from Hurricane Ian?
Yeah, I mean, it put it to a screeching halt. We had to stop yesterday. A lot of these crews are not from here, so they come in from the state because there's 34 plus counties that require all these crews. So all these crews come from all over the place. We have crews from Alabama, from as far as Texas in here collecting debris. So they have to make sure everything's safe for themselves, get to where their safety is before they come back out. We're hoping to get them back on the street as early as Saturday. It doesn't look like it's going to be tomorrow, but as early as Saturday to start picking up debris. They're going to also do assessments because now there's new debris most likely with this storm. There's debris we probably have not realized yet because we still aren't in the worst part of it yet. So we have to look and see what that is, and do we need to bring in even additional crews from even further out, maybe up in Massachusetts or even go out to Arizona because there's so many crews in the state of Florida right now. We may have to bring in additional crews from even further away.
Wow.
Look at that.
I know.
All right. We thank you so much. We thank you, Alan Harris with Seminole County Emergency Management. We've got a lot of emergency management directors across the area, but I got to tell you, when Alan speaks,
I'm telling you,
people listen.
We sure do.
And he gives us that sense of security that, okay, give it to us straight, just give us all the information, and he always comes through and gives us access to the latest info.
And you can appreciate that because he's
a nice guy.
He's a nice guy, and he gives it to us straight and doesn't sugarcoat.
That's right. Okay, time right now, 5:41. Let's go ahead and check in on the weather, on the ones right now with certified meteorologist Maureen McCann. Okay, we see Klystron 13 right there next to you, so walk us through what we can expect to see in the next few hours.
Yeah, and observing the radar here in the Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Chris Gilson, we're anticipating some of the worst of the impacts, the rain and the wind, the intensity of the bands to be over the Orlando metro area right now, and that extends up towards Sanford. So we have a live picture coming to us from Lake Monroe, and there you can see the very choppy conditions out on the lake and how the winds have been ramping up there. We've seen a wind gust out of the airport in Sanford to 60 miles per hour, and to Orlando International Airport we've seen the gust to 63 miles per hour. So we expect for those numbers to climb. Here's another perspective of downtown Orlando. We show you this camera all the time in your weather on the ones, but not often do we see those trees whipping around like that and those sheets of rain. So that's what's occurring in downtown Orlando. Let's take you to another perspective of North Orange Ave, those slick conditions. Good to see people off the roads, of course. And as we turn to our camera up above, the Weichert Realtors Hallmark Property Sky Cam, yeah, there's more wind-driven rain. We'll get more daylight within the hour. Sunrise happening after 6:30 this morning, so that will help us tell the story of what's happening across Central Florida with the effects of Nicole this morning. So this is a 6-hour loop of Klystron 13, and you can watch how that eye was on a course for the Treasure Coast and made landfall around 3 a.m. on North Hutchinson Island. That's just south of Vero Beach, Indian River County. But those intense bands came into Brevard County, and now they are over Orange County and Seminole County, with the impact spreading towards the I-75 corridor as we go throughout the morning. We were just talking about the river flooding and the concerns along the St. John's, and we've been monitoring the river gauges at these reporting sites, and a change from yesterday is that we're now back to major flood stage near Astor. Also near flood stage along the Little Wekiva River, Altamont Springs. Bring back in the hydrograph. We use this a lot during Ian. I know it's a busy graphic. There's a lot going on, but this has a lot of data in it. Comes to us from the USGS and NOAA. The dotted line represents what's happening right now. So at Astor, this particular spot, we have the flood gauge up to 4.22 feet, and it's projected to crest as we go forward throughout the day today, but stay in major flood stage going forward. It won't quite get to the record based on the forecast. That is 4.7 feet, and we'll continue to look at other river gauges throughout the morning. We also have a picture from the Little Wekiva River. I'll step aside, or near there at least, in Seminole County, and that's where we see the wind-driven rain. That is near the gauge of the Little Wekiva River, where we've been observing those river levels. We'll continue to do that throughout the morning as well. But the rainfall totals that we're going to see going forward, again, this is is adding on to what has already occurred. The focus is going to shift northwest and into North Florida. Don't forget, we also are on guard for any isolated rotating cells. It's a low likelihood, but the threat is still part of the forecast as Nicole moves across the peninsula on a path right now to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. So the timing, I guess we can change that overnight to say this morning, but the peak of the storm with the rain and wind, that's where we are right now. This will all shift north and west. Tonight we'll get those lingering bands of rain. The winds will start to ease, and we have a great looking forecast as we head into the weekend with fall-like air, highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s, but we just got to get through what's happening right now with the intense bands moving over the I-4 corridor and winds to tropical storm force. Ebeth, Curtis?
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. The time right now is 5:45. You know, we heard from Florida Power and Light a little bit earlier. Now we're tracking things with another power company.
We sure are. Spectrum News 13's Angie Andrews is live at Tropicana Field, where she's following Duke Energy crews as they safely and quickly respond to outages in the area. Good morning to you, Angie.
Good morning. I guess you'd say pretty similar to Hurricane Ian. That's kind of the response that we're seeing out here when it comes to these crews getting staged and ready for this storm. Now, obviously, we're not seeing a storm even close to what we saw during Hurricane Ian, but the response when it comes to power outage crews getting ready, that's what's pretty similar here. So we're live this morning at Tropicana Field. This is just one of 5 different staging areas across the state, one of them also over in Orlando. There's roughly 5,000 power crews staged outside and waiting right now. Now, just like Ian, we're seeing linemen who have traveled down here from the Midwest and as far as the Carolinas. Now, they all got into place last night, so if your power goes out, yes, our local power companies, of course, they say they are expecting many more outages. The crews here will either head to the spot where the damage occurred, or they'll be able to handle some of the outages from their distribution control center. But I asked that big question so many of us are wondering, how do these power crews prioritize? How do they pick which areas they go to first? So I asked that question to our leaders over at Duke. Take a listen.
We have a very planned out progression for power restoration. We hit major transmission lines, substations, things that feed the most customers first. We take care of that first. Then we go to making sure that hospitals, police stations, fire and EMS, they're restored. Anything that's emergency related, that's our top priority. Then we hit the largest outages and we work our way down.
As we know, really from there, it's just the process of working their way down the line and then finally to those rural area power outages. So Duke Energy this morning, as of this moment, they have about 30,000 outages. Most of them are in Brevard, Volusia, and Orange County. But for now, reporting live, Tropicana Field, I'm Angie Andrews for Spectrum News 13.
Thank you so much for that. And now Jerry with traffic at 547. Hey, Jerry.
Yeah, brand new crash to tell you about. This is Florida's Turnpike. This is northbound here. This is going to be very close to Orange Blossom Trail and the 528. Very serious situation. Looks like a semi-tractor trailer is involved. The camera bouncing around here, so it's really hard to tell, and it's also very dark and slick out there. Looks like there is a right lane that's open, but 3 left lanes that are blocked in this area. We've been watching conditions for that drive. I've seen some of the big flashes indicating that maybe some of the power has been going out here. This is the beach line near Orlando International Airport out there. Best recommendation is stay off the roads right now. We'll continue to track conditions for that morning drive out there. Going to leave you with this shot here of I-4 here. This is near Seminole County. We're back continuing our coverage of Nicole after this.
Watch all month long as Spectrum News 13 celebrates Veterans and Military Families Month. This is Community. This is Spectrum News 13. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here. In our podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
During the Chevy Cyber Cash sales event at Bob's Deal Chevy, it's Black Friday savings every day, all month long. Our Thanksgiving gift is new Chevys, less than MSRP. That's right, over 160 new Silverados, Colorados, Equinox, Tahoes, everything's on sale with many less than MSRP. While they last, Bob's Deal has new Chevy trucks and SUVs, no payments till next year. And get up to $5,000 more for your trade. With lifetime oil changes and tire rotations. For real savings, see Steel before you make any deal.
Wellness. No matter how you define it, wellness starts with we. And we envision a future where wellness is easy and flexible care options lead the way. A future that's accessible with comprehensive health plans. And a future that's exceptional, powered by truly personalized care. We're health first, and the future is well.
Drive your new Toyota home today when you visit Toyota of Melbourne. Tired of hearing about low inventory or how you have to pre-order your vehicle? Toyota of Melbourne has you covered with 65 new Toyotas available right now and 200 more on the way. We've got new 22 and 23 Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Highlanders, and Tacomas on the lot right now. Every new Toyota comes with a lifetime warranty, so your new Toyota will always be in good hands. Find the perfect Toyota and drive it home today from Toyota of Melbourne, working hard to earn your business.
Florida on a Tankful is brought to you by Garage Experts, garage flooring and storage solutions to transform your garage to the garage of your dreams.
It is 5:51. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Marie McCann and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick as we continue to track Tropical Storm Nicole and really seeing the strongest winds right now along the I-4 corridor with the heaviest rain here moving through Orlando, Marine.
Yeah, and these bands of rain are moving along pretty quick, around 40 to 45 miles per hour. So if you're experiencing a downpour, chances are it will exit soon thereafter because it's not going to linger over the same areas. The one thing we just have to watch is any storm training, some of the bands moving over the same areas as they spiral on shore. Let's take a tour of Clystron 13. If you're just waking up, if the rain and wind was really loud for you, this is about the peak of it for the Orlando metro area, and you can tell why. There's orange and some red embedded. Dr. Phillips to Windermere to Ocoee, and as this pushes to West Orange County, it's going to be approaching a place like Castle Hill at 554. Skytop by 558, Mohawk 559, and then the other band to the north that is moving out of Seminole County, that will be shifting into Lake County. So here are some short-term impacts on where some of those communities will be impacted as the rain, the gusty squalls move to you next. You can see a few more intense pockets near Port Orange, near DeLand, and near Orange City, but also see what's happening offshore with this band of rain that's going to be pivoting inland, and there are some more intense pockets here, and then a closer inspection of Clystron 13 picks up on a few couplets. It's weak rotation, but this is something that's always a concern with the landfalling tropical system because you have winds moving at different directions with height. So we look for the green and the red close together. There are a few areas offshore and over parts of Flagler and northern Volusia County. It's not showing up considerably well on the storm threat graphic. We look for some pockets of brighter yellow and green on this, and it's really not showing up. So again, it's a low threat, but we just want you to be prepared. If we get into any tornado concerns, just be ready to go to the safest place of your safe place. Chances are you're home and you're in a safe place at the moment, but just know an interior room or closet is where you'd want to go. Before we send it back over to Chris, here's a look at the Flagler Beach Pier as the rough surf is there. High tide cycles there between around 8 and 9 o'clock this morning, so we're not even at high tide, and we can see how high the water levels are and what that has done recently to the pier as we saw reports of some additional damage coming in yesterday, Chris.
We'll be watching that storm surge closely as we head towards sunrise and beyond for this morning. We are looking at a tropical storm warning that continues for all of Central Florida, and the hurricane warning that we had earlier, that was allowed to be dropped because Nicole has weakened below hurricane status and it's made landfall. As we take you out to, is this Seminole County? Little Wekiva area there in Altamont Springs. You can see the heavier rain coming down and also the wind blowing that rain sideways here, and that's going to be the case here along the I-4 corridor for the next couple of hours. So walking you through the timing of the rain, and basically this is right now, and this forecast model doing a pretty good job handling the position of the rain and the position of Nicole. And as we go through the rest of the morning, notice at 10, 11 o'clock, we're starting to see the heavier rain pushing farther to the north and west. But if you're in Marion, Flagler County, Sumter counties, you may hold on to the rain a little bit longer compared to areas along I-4 and down to the south and to Osceola County and Brevard counties will likely clear out a little bit faster. As we go into the overnight, we could have a few more showers wrapping around the system as it stays away from us. And then on your Friday, most areas will likely be dry, but a few showers can't be ruled out as we head into the day tomorrow. So again, along the coast, we're looking at the worst weather now through about 7, 8 a.m. Still some high winds in Brevard County, then watching for the storm surge there of 3 to 6 feet. Into Osceola County, looking at 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. Those wind gusts likely coming down a bit, but we still could have some stronger gusts on the backside of Nicole as it pulls to the north. In Orlando, we're looking at some of the heaviest rain continuing to fall. That will be the case through the next few hours. Wind gusts still potentially around 50 to 60 miles per hour, and we already had those wind gusts right around 60 miles per hour at the Orlando International Airport. And same story in Sanford. Rainfall there, 2 to 4 inches, and then going into Lake County, we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain. Still that potential for gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. So Ebeth and Curtis, we have to get through the next few hours, and then once we go into the afternoon, we'll likely see the weather gradually improve through the day.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Chris.
The intensity of the storm is being felt right now. So if you're just waking up wondering, what is that I'm hearing? Let's go ahead and show you the pictures now as we check in live with Katie Strite, joining us now from Volusia County. And now we continuously see the whipping of the palm trees behind you. Things are definitely picking up there where you are.
Yes, really the wind has been picking up, the rain has been falling down, and a lot of people have evacuated here in South Daytona from the Daytona Beach Shores area, and even in the last hour, and you can hear the gusty winds right now. In the last hour, we saw a family try to go into some of the hotels, but unfortunately, because so many people evacuated, there's no vacancies along the strip of hotels here in South Daytona. Now I want to show you just how full that parking lot is, as well as the gusty winds and how the palm trees right here are blowing because of it. Now we see some folks who are on the road. If you are on the road, it is very slick weather. The roads are completely wet. There is some flooding in the area, and we'll be able to show you guys that sometime soon. So again, we'll continue to follow up with all of this information going on in South Daytona area. Live in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
Thank you so much. You know, we continue to cover this storm and everything that, comes with it.
That wraps up another hour of our storm coverage. Stay with us. Top of the hour at 6, just about 3 minutes away. We're coming back in a moment with our team of reporters and certified meteorologists.